So this is our FECO Food and Frequency featured session of Hope Fest, and we are super excited to have some amazing guest speakers. I am gonna let Jim introduce himself, and I am gonna get the presentation ready.
Great. Okay, my name is Jim Garancer. I am the founder of this program, which is called Whole Health Oncology. It's a program that is an alternative method of battling cancer. And I've been working on this program probably since my dad died of cancer 40 years ago. So super excited about this. We're finding alternative ways to be able to not only fight cancer, but prevent cancer. And I'm excited today to have a group of people on here that are as passionate as I am. They are very, very much more educated than I am, and that's why they're here. And I'd like to introduce my co-host, Christen Hagan. I'm excited to have her here. She's been a friend of mine for a long time. Her father is one of my best friends, and more than glad to have you here, Christen. Excited to have you.
Thank you, Jim. I'm excited to be here as well. And just to introduce myself quickly, I'm based in Los Angeles, which I think is really the epicenter of a lot of alternative medicine and wellness innovations in the world. I have a kind of a strange background. I'm the vice president of Shark Tank, Kevin Harrington's group. So we get a lot of wellness products, treatment modalities that aren't yet on the market. So we've seen some life-changing products, some technologies that aren't on the mass market yet. So I've worked with scientists, doctors, formulators, bioresonance practitioners, inventors, entrepreneurs, and I've seen some life-changing products on the market. So speaking of frequency, we're very excited to share some information on this area of work. It's we'll jump right in. Huff Sirius is joining us, and he'll explain bioresonance.
Basically, it's a form of magnetic resonance that occurs in biological living systems. The human body is electric, and thus it generates a weak magnetic field that is scientifically known as a human biofield. This magnetic field can be visualized with a GDB camera. So magnetic resonance is an established and measurable phenomena in quantum mechanics. Thus, it is not exclusive of biological systems. Therefore, this phenomena also applies to organic living systems, such as human beings and animals. We are basically beings of frequency. And so, to understand bioresonance more, we need to understand what resonance is. And so, resonance, according to Wikipedia, is described as a phenomena of increased amplitude that occurs when the frequency of an applied periodic force is equal or close to a natural frequency of the system on which it acts. When an oscillating force is applied at a resonant frequency of a dynamic system, the system will oscillate at a higher amplitude than when the same force is applied at other non-resonant frequencies. Now, this is mostly what is magnetic resonance. So in an electromagnetic field, magnetic resonance is the absorption or emission of electromagnetic radiation in response to the application of certain magnetic fields. It is known as bioresonance when it's applied to the human biofield. So resonance is the interaction of at least two systems operating in the same frequency range. The phenomenon of resonance arises when a sender of electromagnetic vibrations at a certain frequency collide with other electromagnetic vibrations of same frequency from another source. So for example, Dr. Raymond Rife discovered the mortal oscillatory rate in 1931. He exposed bacteria and viruses to electromagnetic frequencies and discovered that each microbe and virus had a particular frequency that it was vulnerable to due to destructive bioresonance. And now let's get into a little bit about the biofield so that we can come full circle to understand how this all fits together. So the biofield, the human biofield, Eileen McCusick is probably our best pioneer in this research, in the research and science of the biofield. On her website, electrichealth.com, she describes the biofield as a field of electromagnetic energy and information that surrounds and interpenetrates the human body. The same electricity that powers your heart, your brain, and your nervous system generates a weak magnetic field. So I'm just going to get into a few examples of resonance. So some really common examples of resonance include laser diodes, which are used in optical storage devices and high-speed optical communication. We have tuning forks, which can oscillate sympathetically, induced by acoustic resonance. So we strike one tuning fork, the other one will resonate if they're both at the same frequency without being touched through space. Radio and TV, there are some applications that are very important for bioresonance. The first is diagnostics. And so in the diagnostics field, we're able to conduct non-invasive detailed investigations of the biofield. By isolating resonant frequencies within a biofield, we can detect and correlate a wide spectrum of biological frequencies, and these are known as etalons. We can also perform a type of therapy known as BRT, or bioresonance therapy, with highly specialized ultrasensitive electronic equipment that have been developed, tested, and improved over decades by many talented practitioners and engineers. And then there's research and development, which is to help gain insights into health trends and forecasting.
Are we live?
All right, we are live. We are back.
All right.
All right. I would love to introduce Ocean Eagle, who's actually a personal friend of mine. Ocean is an entrepreneur, breathwork coach, and best-selling author of multiple books. Ocean hosts breathwork events and wellness retreats across the U.S. and even offers breathwork facilitation course for anyone who wants to learn. And if you don't know what breathwork is yet, you will very soon, as it's a healing practice taking the world kind of by storm right now. So I'll let Ocean talk more about this incredible phenomenon and its healing properties. And even more excitingly, he'll take us through a quick breathwork session at the end of the interview. Yeah. So welcome, Ocean.
It's good to see you, my friend, my fellow best-selling co-author. We just co-authored a book together, Mind Steering Business Secrets.
We did, and you have several more that are published. So
we got a few. Good to see you, Jim.
Can you kind of talk about some of the work that you do currently? Would love that.
Yeah. So currently, I got my fingers in a lot of different things right now, but the activation breath work was a huge thing for me that cracked me open in my awakening journey. And so it's a huge part of what I do is guiding people through deep, powerful breathwork journeys. You participated in one with me with 27 people in that room. And no, that was a smaller group for you. Yeah, it was about 11 people. But what I do is I facilitate breathwork journeys. I also have the course online right now where I teach people everything that you need to do if you want to learn about breathwork and learn how to facilitate your own journeys. Then I also take people to the pyramids at Teotihuacan. I've got a thing coming up we'll talk about later, coming up at the end here. And then I'm an author, but I've written, I think I've been published 5 times now, and I've got 2 more that you're helping me with Mindster Media. So those are coming out real soon. So I'll have 7 published books out. And then, but the retreats that I do are really powerful. When I do these 5-day retreats, and I really keep it to men only and women only now, so that we can really dive in and let the breath take people home to a place of inner healing, trauma release. And my article in Top Doctor magazine just came out, that breath work is medicine. And I'm talking with nothing but doctors these days. They're all reaching out to me. Yeah. They're all wanting to get out of big pharmacy. They're all wanting to figure out how to help people, come back to wholeness. I was a medical director with Cedars-Sinai. I just had dinner last night with an amazing doctor out of Guatemala. Local chiropractors were at that dinner last night. All of them are interested in how to incorporate this and everything everybody else is doing as well.
Hey, thank God morals are starting to win. Right?
Don't get me started.
Hey, let's do a quick breathworks, man. We gotta.
You want to do one right now?
If we got 5 or 6 minutes, if you got it keyed up, if we got time, man. What do you think?
Well, yeah, we can do one right now. So we can knock
really
one
quick
out.
Before we do that, will you just kind of explain what happens to your body when you're doing breath work?
Well, as well as because I've watched you. Christen will tend to go into tetany a little bit, where her cells will lock up a little bit. And normally what that is for me is it's an energetic holding on to trauma, abuse, abandonment, neglect in our bodies where we're not ready to let go of that. So people can go into tetany. People have state of euphoria as we're building DMT, the same natural DMT that's in ayahuasca, we build in our lungs. The serotonin levels, the dopamine levels get boosted, and those are neuropathway connectors, neurotransmitters that connect our brain and our nervous system. Most people have detached. They don't have a solid flow, and everything's stuck in the mind. So they could have visual journeys. You could have very physical responses. I've had people throw up. I've had people coughing where they can't stop coughing. And I try to activate people's throat chakras because most people have closed throat chakras. Normally that's from childhood. They were never given a voice. They were told to shut up, be quiet, you don't matter. And so I really try to get people to yell and scream and get that out, and started changing the vibration on a cellular level in the body. Because, that's, when you put a pile of sand on a plate and you change the frequency, the sand moves into different geometric shapes. And that is us on a cellular level. So when we can change the way our cells are moving and dancing to in the frequency, they rearrange themselves and heal us. So what people can expect is, lightheadedness, numbness down the arms, tingling in the fingers and toes. And that's the nitric oxide. That's the nitric oxide you're building that's getting the medicine through the vessels and the veins and brings the medicine that you're building in your body naturally to where it needs to go. Yeah.
Well, based on that, I can't wait.
Yeah. So I know we'll do an abbreviated session really quick now, and then you'll be joining us again for a fuller session. And you're also running one tonight in Dallas, if anyone's in the Dallas area.
Dallas. I'm at the Beehive venue, 6 to 9 o'clock tonight. If you can't, figure out how to get a ticket online, just show up. I'll be happy to get you in there. But it's at the Beehive venue in the Design District, 6 to 9 o'clock tonight here in Dallas. And let's. I've got a song queued up. So what I do is the music's tuned to the 7 chakras. So during the breathwork session, I'm physically normally moving energy on people's bodies. That's why this is what I'm doing with you guys right now is the first time I've ever done this online. I've never done it. I've had many people ask me to do this online, but I haven't done it because of the physical part of it that's really important. And that's why I do mostly in person, really only in person, unless I'm doing like a meditation video or something that's different. But what we're going to do is we're going to breathe through the nose. So if you think about pulling that Kundalini energy up from your root chakra through the spinal column. So what we're doing is we're mastering the breath, we're mastering our spinal fluid, and we're pulling that Kundalini spinal fluid up. And it's circular, no stop at the top, no stop at the bottom, no mouth breathing, through the nose, out of the mouth. So I'm going to do it with you guys. Normally you're laying down flat, you're blindfolded, and I start moving energy. We're going to do this for a few minutes. I'm going to kick on a song here, and just follow along with me. And I'm probably going to get in trouble playing this loud here. I brought one of my Bose towers with me. So just close your eyes, make a noise on the way out. Fill your belly up. Let the music take you into the root chakra right now. Pick up the pace. I'm already getting lightheaded. You're going to feel the lightheadedness. You're going to feel the tingling in your arms. That is the medicine going to work. I'm already lightheaded. And you keep going. It's about surrendering because your mind's going to tell you to stop. So you're going to keep going as long as you can throughout the playlist. Come. Come to the fire that you build in your belly. You're building serotonin, you're building DMT, you're building dopamine. Keep breathing. And you're going to want to stop, and you're not going to stop. You're going to keep breathing. Think about the beast within that's been attacking you. And you're going to keep breathing through it. Normally, I would start coming in and moving energy on your root chakra. Keep breathing. All that years of trauma, abuse, abandonment, neglect, you want to clear that energy. Allow the medicine of the breath to do what it needs to do. Ah. And you want to get really energetic with your body. Move your body. Ah. And most of you are going to think, how the hell are we going to do this for an hour and a half? You'll settle into a rhythm and then you'll come back to the breath. The breath is your accelerator button. And my ears are ringing right now. I've got numbness down my fingers and my arms. And you can slow it down a little bit and start bringing a longer breath in through the nose. Oh, and you can start regulating yourself. You can heal your high blood pressure. You can start regulating yourself in your own body. Ah, you are the medicine.
Head rush.
Yeah, head rush. You'll feel it. Yeah, you'll feel a head rush. Ah. You are the medicine.
Head rush.
Yeah, head rush. You'll feel it. Yeah, you'll feel a head rush. Ah. You are the medicine. Start pulling it down a little bit, and we'll start coming back to center a little bit. You'll feel a head rush. I've got a head rush too. I'm not immune to it, and I've got my ears are ringing right now. Come back down a little bit, and we do that. The playlists are normally an hour and a half, and it starts in the root chakra. So we're vibrating the root chakra, and I'm moving energy on the root chakra. And then the playlist goes up, and you'll feel the energy of more fire, and you're in your sacral area. So then I'm moving energy in the sacral area, physically moving the energy up the spinal column. Music will shift in later and go into the solar plexus. Some more fluid between the heart and the soul and the sacral. And that's a more energetic, loving energy. And then later on, we move up into the heart. And the waters of the heart put the fire out. And the waters, will put the fire out, and then the smoke billows up through into our throat chakra. And the music will. How you doing there, Jim?
Woo.
I know. So you're going to feel all kinds of crazy stuff come up. And a lot of people will need to come out of the breath a little bit during the breath work journey. And then you'll feel me come and hit the feet again, and people will pick the breath back up. And as the songs fade in and out, I encourage people to surrender deeper, because surrender is self-love. So how much do you really want to heal? So how deep can you really go with it? And when the mind starts kicking in, telling you this is dumb, this is stupid, I can't go anymore, you tell the mind to shut up, it's not welcome here. And you move on and you move forward through the breath and through the playlist. And if you do it right and you do it long enough, you're building enough DMT, building enough serotonin and dopamine where you're connecting your brain, your nervous system, and you're activating that pineal gland that most people have calcified pineal glands. And we're activating the third eye chakra awakening. And then people will have massive journeys. They'll take off into space. They'll go to Egypt. And in the meantime, the playlist moves on up. And then we go in later on in the playlist, you're floating out in through the third eye, and the playlist goes into the crown chakra. And we allow the liquid gold energy of our creator to pour in through our body and allow it to. And most people after an hour and a half, they don't want to come back. They're laying there, they're blindfolded, and they don't want to come back. And so I lovingly let them come back out of the song. When we do that in my 5-day retreats, and I've got a 5-day women's retreat coming up October 19th through the 23rd. I just had 2 women message me just now that they're signing up for that. We do such powerful work. And at my retreats, we don't just do breath work. We go to the Sedona. It's in Sedona, Arizona. We go to the Sedona Wolf Sanctuary. I know you're interested about the Wolf Sanctuary, Jim. We go do a sweat lodge. I hike the women up above the birthing cave, and I blindfold the women on a big flat red rock, and I drum them and rattle them for 45 minutes as I verbally put them back in the womb, and I rebirth them. I verbally rebirth them on the mountain. And then we do we all sit in circles and we paint. Painting is a big part of the process. We have canvases and easels and acrylic paints, and we paint. I have live musicians come in the house. It's a beautiful 6,000 square foot house with a yoga studio. It's on 6.5 acres. That's a powerful, powerful 5-day retreat. One of the women at my last one, I had 8 women in June. She went home Monday and asked for a divorce. So be careful when you come work with me, because we are going to lift the veil. and we're going to find out what's blocking you and stopping you from living a full and whole life. Yeah.
So careful what you wish for.
Well, just come in with no expectations, and then we do a lot of writing, we do a lot of cord cutting with our past life and this life, and then we set boundaries, and I teach people how to hold the boundaries in the face of all adversity. Because setting the boundary says I love myself. And how you doing there, Jim? Your face is all lit up. Perfect. You need to drive down and come to the event tonight, man. It'll be a lot of fun.
I got a pretty good buzz, tell you the truth.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We're just
we're gonna have to
warmed
let
up.
you go, Ocean. You're back on in 30 minutes, man. Love you,
I'm
brother.
on in 30 minutes again?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Awesome. I'll be here. Lots
right.
of love to you guys. All right. Thank you.
See y'all soon.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. Woo.
That was incredible. I
Yeah.
actually have tears like rolling down my face from that.
Yeah.
Like in just minutes. All right,
brought-
guys, we are going to go backstage and meet our next guest, and we will be right back with you.
Come in. Woo.
Welcome. We're so excited to have you today.
I don't know if you guys can see me. I don't have any option to activate my camera.
That's fine. That's fine. We'll just, our last person from Poland was the same way. Maybe it's just a Eastern European thing.
Yeah,
okay, well,
it takes longer for internet to reach us.
Well, Clement, I'm going to introduce you. I'm going to let, basically, you're a good friend of one of our friends that helped us start Early Recognition is Critical, which is a charity that we all work for. And Patrick, and he introduced you, and you're a friend of our friend Blas, who is a ERIC ambassador over in Slovenia, which is pretty awesome. And you guys have done some amazing work over there. And the work you're doing now is fantastic. It's so much. It's simplified in my word is you make the world better through growing and making our food sources better. And I want to introduce you to my co-host is Miranda Morris. She's our executive director, and she'll be asking you some educated questions, but also I know you have a program in mind to be able to talk about what you're doing. Why don't you go ahead and introduce us real quick?
Yeah, sure. So I kind of wanted to, not go through slides or anything, but just kind of talk about a little bit about the story. So my background is I started off as a science guy. So I studied biotechnology, and although I worked on human on brain cancer, actually, I was at the department for plants, basically. So for plant physiology at the National Institute of Biology. So I was very interested in plants, and kind of this is the red line is that, we are using plants more or less for food sources, but they can, offer us a lot more. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today. So, but first, my path went from science to business. I started a software company. Was me and a bigger team, but we developed software for laboratories, for researchers all across the world, and we did a number of services and products that were quite successful. At the end, we were like around 120 people in all these companies, and we did mostly software, but we also we always try to draw inspirations from the nature. And one of our recent projects that really happy started to come to life was to store digital data on DNA. Patrick actually was involved in that project as well, so the circle goes full way. But to give you the idea, how to bring software and IT and biology together. Storing, so DNA is the world's most information dense molecule. So with current world creating masses and masses of data, a lot of this data has to be stored for long periods of time. It's really important to find sources that are that can store data for a long time, that can store data in very dense way. And DNA, you know, the nature made DNA with the purpose of stably storing data. And this is, you know, when we started talking about this, everybody thought we were crazy. But now it's like we actually built a machine that can do that, and on a very small scale, I should say. But kind of like to give you an idea of the inspiration and what we try to do with software. But long story short, I just recently kind of exited that whole world because I felt like I need to do something differently. Also, like these companies grew very quickly to the point of being very, well, maybe not very, but like they became more corporate. Like more people come in, things get serious. You need rules, regulations, policies, and you know, I guess that's the way of doing like big things, like really complex projects. But I felt like I want to do something more with you know, values that I personally had, which revolve a lot around family and building something you know, for the community and doing something meaningful, and then you know, be something that has to do with plant biotechnology that always kind of inspired me. And when I say me, I actually mean myself and my brother. So he studied the same thing as I did, and we were always kind of brainstorming, had ideas. Like he was on this journey throughout the way, and he started his own businesses, and we started some businesses together. And now finally, we have so two years ago we started our own business that we are now more or less full-time employees at the moment. Very small business, family centered. One of the things that I mentioned to Jim when we talked about, we started growing microgreens. So one of the things that we did was try to develop. So okay, maybe one step back. So what is microgreens? For those who maybe don't know. So this is basically a very early stage of the plant. So when you seed the plant, it's about 1 or 2 weeks after seeding. You just get like a couple of inches tall sprout. One stage after the sprout, as a matter of fact, you cut it, and a lot of restaurants use this kind of as a garnish. It looks nice, let's say, but what a lot of people don't know is that because this is like a really early stage plant, it contains like a lot of, like it has a high concentration of a lot of you know, good things that human body needs. And on the, as a second benefit, it's really fiber rich, so it's really good for your gut and all of that. So the problem with microgreens is that if you want them to look good and taste good, they need to be fresh. Like they cannot, you know, it's really difficult to distribute them, you know, thousands of miles, because by the time they'll get there, they're not going to be fresh. You can't freeze them. You can't put them in the fridge. They become quite bad quite quickly. So freshness is really the name of the game, which means that this business is very local. Like it's unlikely there will be a corporation that kind of, you know, dominates the market with microgreens, and then you buy microgreens in every, you know, Target store, you know, Whole Foods or whatever.
So are you saying because you start off with the word micro, basically?
Yeah, I guess so. That's, yeah, I guess. Don't call them macro greens, I guess.
Macro, yeah. And then you got, and then you have normal greens at that point.
Yeah.
You know, which we don't want that.
There you go.
Right on, man.
So,
cool,
so it started. It started that our families really liked eating them, and we thought, oh, you know, growing them is actually not such a big deal. But I got really into them, and I took it like very scientifically for about a year in my kind of, you know, in my garage. I set up the whole system. I ran like hundreds of experiments, like with different soils, different lighting techniques, different watering regimes, different seeds, different temperatures, humidities, like the whole thing. And it turns out it's actually far, far more complex than what I thought, right? Like you just throw some seeds on the soil and you'll get the greens. So especially it's especially hard because I had a couple of goals in my mind. First of all, like the quality, right? It has to taste good, has to look good, has to be reproducible, like consistent quality every time. So that was a challenge in itself. But also how to make this product so that it's kind of sustainable and circular. So maybe just a couple of challenges to mention there. You can grow microgreens, like you can seed the microgreens on a soil. You can seed them on a coconut, like a coconut mesh, or you can seed it on the hemp mesh, right? So coconut mesh was, for example, the cheapest, but when you look at like the whole impact that coconut mesh has on the world before it arrives to your location, it turns out that hemp mesh, coming from locally from Slovenia, was a far better option. So we had to, optimize the whole process on a different thing. At the end of the day, we saw that actually we can get to hemp mesh cheaper, and that we can grow better microgreens on it, just because we focused, not initially just on the price, but our initial values were, how to make something that also has like this sustainable component. Another thing was that, how to optimize for water usage, right? This is, if you are not thinking, maybe I should say, we grow this on a very, very small scale. So, using 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 gallons of water doesn't really make economical difference for the whole thing. However, from the sustainability perspective, you try to minimize. So we went from a completely different watering system, and because of this, what we were able to do is now we can grow microgreens where there is no running water. So you need all you need is a reservoir of water, and you can water them for quite a long time. So kind of another benefit from looking at things differently. We first say, okay, we want to build something ourselves rather than just buy it on the shelf. It costs us way more time, way more money, and nobody who would just try to make a business would go that route. But as a consequence, it opens up a whole different kind of perspective on what you can do, different applications and so on. And kind of last resource that we tried to limit was the involvement of human in the whole process. So maybe this sounds like, we want to robotize everything, but I think it's really important. First of all, if human does not have to be involved, or the tasks that the human does in the whole process are really straightforward, then, almost anybody can do it. So you can do this anywhere. You can train anybody. You can train anybody much faster. So like, again, it brings like additional benefits that are more sustainable, and therefore can have like larger impacts on the society. So kind of microgreens is a part of our passion, and maybe kind of last part of the story. So kind of what we are also going towards. So we feel like plants are underutilized in our society as a means of medicine. So we all know that plants were used historically as medicine for. If we all ask our great grandparents, medicine were in the form, of plants. However, now we all move to the pills and so on, and we don't use we don't use plants as much as medicine as we used to as humans. So, however, we also know a lot more about active compounds and how these active compounds, what kind of effects they have on the body, and which compounds we want and which ones we don't. So, what we with my brother are trying to do is figure out how can we merge the knowledge that we have about pharmacy, medicine, biochemistry and so on. How can we merge this with, growing plants instead of eating pills, and making sure we grow plants that can help us and can kind of, cure diseases. So I'm just going to say it because it's kind of the big elephant in the room. Cannabis being the prime example of this, right? So, okay, whether cannabis is a medicine or not is a different debate, but if we say that it can be a medicine, this is a perfect example of how an active pharmaceutical compound is grown in a plant. People can use the plant directly or almost directly to get the compound into their bodies and to kind of be treated for whatever illness they feel like they're being treated. So prime example, and the point here is really not to argue whether cannabis is good or bad for you, but kind of it's a good example of what I think we need more of. Why, like a really dumb example, like why do I need to go and buy aspirin if I can have the acetic acid, the acetic salicylic acid growing in maybe a plant, and I know that it's a special plant. Maybe I breed this plant so that it grows more. Maybe I have this plant in special conditions, and I just eat the plant, and I get the same effect. I don't have to go through the whole pharmaceutical process, which is filled with, things like
doctor visits. Yeah.
Well, yes, but also I mean from like the manufacturing process, which is like really expensive, really, very far away from, things just growing naturally. Like, but this thing you could grow in your backyard, right? So just a hypothetical example. So for where we do specialize with my brother, like, because I described like a really, really broad field. So what we want to do is we want to take a more engineering approach to growing plants. So we want to control inputs and outputs, which is, kind of the same that you would do in a pharmaceutical process, pharmaceutical manufacturing process. And we want to kind of use this to bridge the gap between, how traditional pharmaceutical industry looks at plants and what, we could do with plants if we just kind of set our mind to a more sustainable source of active compounds. So that's kind of for the future where we're going. And we developed some of our technology. It's basically we can, with our existing technology that we patented, well, specifically for cannabis, but that's kind of our model organism at this point. We can introduce nutrients directly into the plant. So we don't have to go through the root system. We don't have to go through photosynthesis. We can, kind of hack the plant directly and see what it does. And, it's maybe not so natural as just, taking stuff from the field, but we're also talking about, how to increase compounds that are maybe not as common or not in such high concentrations present in the plants that we would need for the plants to be effective for treatments of certain conditions.
Plants over pills.
Sorry?
Plants over pills.
Yes, pretty much. Yeah, there you go, Jim. I could have just used the single sentence for this whole
No, man, it's a beautiful, beautiful story, Clement. Way interested in talking to you more about this. One of my mentors said cannabis is the plant that makes the best person you can be in spite of yourself. I mean, you have nothing to do with it. The plant really does make you a better person in terms of health-wise and everything else. So great conversation, man. Miranda, do you have any questions?
I did. I had a couple. This is, first of all, Dr. Zaponch, this is super exciting. How typically are you guys envisioning that a patient would consume these like targeted therapies? Are these things that they ingest, or have you thought that far down the line?
Yeah, no. It's a great question. So I'll start one level higher that I think is going to answer the question as well. So I think, and this is, I'm not talking about near future, but I think where the medical system needs to change, and that's kind of the most obvious in the cannabis situation, where the system needs to change is in the aspect of, you know, not being so black and white as the medicine is. Like, you either have this disease or you don't have it, and you either take this pill or you don't take it, right? So it's like really, and there is just this treatment or no treatment. So where we need to go and explore, like, okay, how is this condition connected to your mental state? How is this you know, more of personalized treatment of patients, right? To understand it's not, if you think about it, like there is a lot of very good evidence that diseases that we thought are, you know, incurable, like multiple sclerosis, can be, you know, either the advancement could be stopped, or even cases of the disease to be treated just by eating a lot of plant-based foods, right? So it's like, you don't even need to, like, you can do a lot by just eating plant food already without any physician telling you to, you know, eat that food, right? And you can eat a good salad or a bad salad. So it's, we're already there. We just wanted, the way I see it, we need to take this a step further and understanding what's in these plants a bit more, but at the same time, the medicine should look at things more holistically. So, you know, maybe in the future where it's not just one physician, but maybe a couple of physicians that are working with you in, you know, not a, you know, kind of ambulant when you go and see the physician and you're there, but like in a more communal way. I don't know, maybe it's a community of physicians and patients that are exploring what's, you know, right for them. You know, and yeah, I get it, like it's a lot of, you know, patient data, whatever. That all has to be sorted out. But I think we need to come to a more natural way of how we look at diseases and patients and how we treat them, one way or another. Like, we as society will go there. Then there's just no other way. Like the Western medicine is too rigid, and this will need to change. And when this changes, I think how do you ingest this, and, you know, how you get these things prescribed will be kind of solved by the system changing. So in short term, I don't think this is you know, something that you can go to a doctor and they will tell you, oh, don't go buy aspirin, just buy this garlic and seed it, you know, in your backyard and eat that. So I don't think this is the near future, but I think it's the only sensible future going forward.
It's a beautiful start to it, man. And it's really one thing that we know for sure is they do not want us growing our own medicine.
Well, yeah, well, I mean, you know, pharmaceutical business is one of the biggest businesses in the world. Like, of course, like they're going to have lobbies and they're going to have heavy influence on medicine and doctors. I mean, of course, but like, you know, they're often villainized where they do a lot of good. Like, there are a lot of drugs that, you know, actually cure diseases, and they are not humans. They're just corporations. They're just a pile of financial interests. So it's like, you know, they are doing them. Like, we as society, we need to ask for change, and we need to be part of this change. So pharmaceutical industry will be there for as long as we buy their shares, right? So,
well said, Clement. That's exactly. Hey, so we got to run, man. We got another group waiting for us, and we are really excited about this program. We want to talk to you more. Miranda and I will be reaching out to you specifically on a couple of these topics. We want to pick your brain on your technology skills, and thank you so much
to
for
hear
joining
about the offspring of these plants too.
Yeah. No, I'm happy to talk, and thanks guys for
thanks so much
for the opportunity, and yeah, love to, you know, talk about this tiny part.
We're excited to introduce Sharon Cron. I met Sharon about 2 months ago. She runs a facility in Dallas called K6. It's a wellness place. And in my mission over the last couple of years, my role is to build an ecosystem of people like what Sharon's doing. And when I met her, I realized this is just more than a practitioner and somebody that I really want to get to know. And we've become much more connected. And I've been seeing her on a regular basis now, and really excited about that. And I'm excited to have you here, Sharon.
Thanks for inviting me. I'm honored to be here.
Great. Well, we have Miranda with us. Miranda is my partner in crime. She's our executive director of our nonprofit, and also our whole health oncology program, which we've talked about quite extensively. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a traditional naturopath. I'm also a registered nurse, almost a nurse practitioner. Next summer I'll be done. And I've had K6 Wellness Center since 2006. And we specialize in whole body thermography. And that's not just for women and their breasts, that's for whole body health. I studied it in Switzerland with German biological doctors, where they really have a grasp on how valuable that type of information can be for determining health trends and discovering potential pathologies or dysfunctions in the body, sometimes years before you get a diagnosis. We also offer nutritional consults. We do naturopathic consults. I have another health coach, Elena Mock, who is my cohort here. But we also have Bright Technology, which I think we're going to talk a little bit more about. And we use labs, we use thermography for testing, but we also use something called electrodermal screening. And that is another thing that I think we're going to talk about. And we can use it to determine, based on the body's feedback, where there's deficiency. And when I say deficiency, I don't mean like a diagnosable condition, but just a state of being for the body. We're also able to isolate things in the environment or other features of your life that may create stress on your system and where that stress exists. We can test for food sensitivities using that, but it's kind of our main information gathering tool, and it's invaluable. It is very, very helpful.
I agree.
Yeah, and in fact, on our podcast, the K6 Wellness Revolution, next month, I'm interviewing the creator of our system. And so we're going to have a long form conversation about electrodermal screening and how valuable it is and the different ways that we use it. But for people who are familiar with muscle response testing or bioenergetic testing, this is another form of that, but it's easier to do because you're not exhausting or fatiguing the muscle, and you're recording all of your responses. So it's just a more modern version of bioenergetic testing.
That's what you've done on me, right?
Yes, that's what we have done with you.
Can you get into that? Yeah, get into that a little bit more detail. If you can.
Okay, so sometimes people opt to not do a thermography, which I still think a thermography is probably one of the best whole body screenings. I always say it's the best physical you'll ever get. And we use electrodermal screening to, number one, determine is there stress in a body system. And the way this works, we all know what a polygraph test is, a lie detector test, right? And they're measuring conductivity, via electrodes that they put on your head. And what they're measuring a lie as is a deviation from your normal conductivity when you speak a true response. So they calibrate by having you speak a truth and then tell a lie. Well, with my system, it's essentially the same thing, except we're not doing the electrodes on your head. We usually go to a single point on the palm of the hand. There are some practitioners who will go to the various meridian points on the fingers and toes, but we found it to be unnecessary. So the points on the hand that we use are just areas where the conductivity comes close to the surface of the skin, so it's easy to measure. We don't shock people. You have natural conductivity. If you've ever walked across a room in the dead of winter and you've shocked yourself on the doorknob, you're electrical, right? Or we are electrical beings. And that's where we're getting our information. So we calibrate first. And then we'll go into where is their system, organ, glandular tissue stress in the body. And again, that's determined by a deviation from a normal range. And it's very easy, even for my clients, to follow along, as you remember, because I've set my ranges to like the traffic light system. So
Right.
normal is green, yellow is kind of like borderline, red is a stress response. And so based on that, we isolate the areas that show stress. And then we want to see, well, okay, so your thyroid is, for instance, your thyroid's stressed. Well, is it related to allergy, autoimmune? Is it related to a virus or a deficiency of some nutrient? It can be for many different reasons. And so we're able to garner more information that you wouldn't even necessarily get in your standard doctor's office lab workup. And we're not diagnosing anything because we have to stay in our lane. And in Texas, we are consultants. So we are getting information and acting appropriately with that information. But say we have somebody who comes in and they do have thyroid issues. It's a common problem, a thyroid deficiency, maybe, and it's autoimmune related. Well, then we want to see, okay, well, what's going on with your immune system? So we can go test via the electrodermal to see, is this a viral overload? Is it a toxin overload? Is there some nutritional component that's not right with this person? Is it emotional? And then we can determine from that, how do we want to address this? So if it's something autoimmune, then we're going to probably stick our finger in every aspect of this person's lifestyle and go, what are you eating? What are you drinking? What are you thinking? What are you breathing? If it's emotional, then we do need to go in to that person's life and say, let's talk about your relationships. Let's talk about when this all started, and unresolved traumas and dramas that help to drive our health. And then if there's a nutritional supplement that's needed, or a glandular, a homeopathic, sometimes it's flower essences, or change in diet, whatever it is, we're gonna recommend that. And sometimes people do need a thyroid prescription. And so we will be the person to say, yep, you're going to need a doctor for that, and here's a good, balanced doctor you could go visit or whatever. But hopefully after next year, then I'll be able to handle that. So then we also pair that with an acupressure technique, or some people call it energy medicine. Some people call it acupressure. And some people don't want to know what it is because it's weird for them. I always try to bring it down to, look, this is very simple. It's the way our bodies are designed to work. But what I have the ability to do is, using that information, I can create an inverse energetic remedy. So something akin to a homeopathic remedy, and of whatever stressors there are. Say it's, like this week, ragweed, elm, and grasses are real high, and everybody knows it who has hay fever. Ragweed has made an early appearance. So we're able to have that. I imprint it using my machine, and we use these it's just a little glass vial with tap water in it, but it puts an electrical charge in it, and that electrical charge is relevant to the stressors or the problems that we found. Have that person hold in their hand that charged vial, and we do acupressure. So what we're doing is accessing the body's meridians, and your meridians are in Eastern medicine, right? It's the energy channels through the body. Even Western physicists, because some people think it's real out there, and it's not. They are very well-defined electroconductive circuits that run through our body. Well, your bladder meridian is the longest meridian in your body. It runs through every vital organ you have, and it also happens to run along your spine. So we have people we have them do a breathing pattern, but we basically stimulate the bladder meridian about 8 times, going up and down while they do a breathing pattern. And a good analogy is, it's like going into a room full of screaming children and turning the lights off and on. If you've ever done that, it makes them all shut up and go. It's a reset. And it's the same thing. We're putting the stress on the body. So anything that's in your field is going to disrupt the way that electricity moves through your body. We're able to then reset by turning the lights off and on, you know, with the acupressure along the bladder meridian. Then we have the person sit with it for a few minutes and that resets. And for some people, the first time you do it, it's permanent. It's a permanent change. Other people, it may take several times, but it is a really clean, risk-free, non-invasive system of dealing with underlying issues, deficiencies, sensitivities that chips away at people's overall level of health. And it doesn't require any medications. That's the beautiful thing about it. And that's, you know, one of the things that I think a lot of alternative practitioners kind of understand is that at some point in our lives, we may only be left with our hands and our mind. What can we do to heal people with our hands and our mind?
So we're really working on treating the root cause. I mean, we're not talking about any symptoms whatsoever.
It's a way to address root causes and to reshape the foundational responses of the body. Because you know, we have people all the time who come in and say, I always have hay fever. I did an allergy test and I'm not allergic to anything. Okay, well, allergy is only one expression of a hypersensitivity. It's only one very narrow, measurable behavior by the body, but we happen to have labs that will do it. The labs that we have aren't very good. And in fact, they've shown that a lot of times they're only about 47% reproducible when they do those allergy tests. So, I mean, how hard is that?
That's a crapshoot.
It's
throw a dart and
yeah, it is
with your body, with your livelihood, right? And
yes,
really with your kids and everything like that too, is what I'm finding out is just ridiculous.
And it's amazing, even for like women going through menopause, you know, they have these vasomotor symptoms like the hot flashes and the sweats, and we're able to just kind of reset hormone balance using energy. And it gives them, I had a cardiology nurse years ago who came and she's like, I am miserable. She said it's 65 degrees on my floor and I am wanting to take off all my clothes because I'm always so hot. And I call it a hot flash clearing, where we use the estrogen and we use heat and then we use sugars and just do the desensitization, you know, stimulating the bladder meridian. And she didn't have another hot flash for 9 months.
Oh, wow. Okay. Just like that.
Right. And it's not like that for every situation and every person, but that one was like, yeah, I like this.
Okay, hit that one. Yeah. So you're saying there's it's not all about just take one pill.
No, it's not even about pills at all. And supplements are important at a certain time. And I think that's something that we all need to bear in mind. Like we get here, right, usually in pretty good shape, but a lot of kids don't get here okay anymore. But we have our baseline function. And for whatever reason, whether it's due to infections or exposures or people, we
toxins.
Right, we can lose that level of function. And sometimes we do need an amino acid or a plant or something else. Use it for what you need it, but we're trying to restore function. It's not to just say, yep, you're on that forever. Because it's kind of the whole problem with Western medicine is that it's very additive. Like, here's a drug. Oh, it didn't work. Add this one to it. Oh, that works, but now you have the side effect. Take this for that side effect. And before you know it, you're on half a dozen drugs. And there's never an exit route for any of them. So we like to use energy. We want to use what nature has provided where we can, but we're going to use whatever we have to help restore a person to good health. And rice fits into that as well.
Well, you just got a new customer, by the way. One of my friends, her mom was going through some stuff and she was like, you know, give me your information. So that's awesome.
Good. Well, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. And we'll share your information afterwards. We'll make it available. Plus, this is going to be used for a lot of different social media and promoting what we're doing onward. It's just not just this one event. It's going to be used over the next 6 months for different types of promoting. So
yeah,
hopefully some collaborating.
Yes, absolutely. absolutely. And then another thing that we use is the Rife technology. And for people who have never heard of this, it kind of got going back in the 1920s, 30s, and then bigger in the 40s. But it was a man by the name of Rife, who was a scientist. He helped to develop, I think it was the universal microscope. And he found that there were certain electrical frequencies that you could create that would create a certain level of oscillation or vibration within certain cells. And it was mainly geared at like cancer cells, to create this vibration to the point of destruction, right? And so the thought was, well, if you can combust cancer cells, then you kill the cancer. Through time, they have found that different vibrational frequencies will create different actions on different kinds of cells. Like we have I call them the kill programs on ours, because it's like, here's a parasite, program that we can run, and it may be many different frequencies. And now we put those frequencies out through plasma bulbs. It's sound waves, right? We're using sound waves to accomplish this, but we're using that through plasma bulbs. Sometimes it sounds a little irritating.
I have one.
Oh, very good. Very good. So you know what I'm talking about. And you can also do it through water. And that's a very strong delivery of the frequencies as well. And for instance, like we've had people always kind of like people who've done reality TV shows in tropical locations with not enough clothes on, and they come home with problems. And, parasites can ruin your life. And these are people who get real bad cases of it. And so we've helped a lot of them overcome the really bad parasite issues. And Rife was a tool that we used because it is so helpful with restoring the body's immune function, but also creating enough death in the bugs to allow the body to be able to function again. And we do have people who come in and use it as one of the tools in their cancer toolbox. And we do it also though for people who wake up like zombies, people who don't have energy and vitality, people who feel pain all the time. There are programs for all kinds of stuff, not just diseases, but to also help normalize the function in certain organs and tissues of the body. And we call those the normalizing programs. And sometimes we have found that it's way more important to do those normalizing programs than it is to do some sort of kill program. It's not always kill something, because once you kill something, what you need to understand is like viruses and parasites, yeast, for instance, when they die, that's when they release their metabolites or their waste products. And that's when people feel terrible. So having a good, Rife, knowledgeable practitioner who understands, okay, this program is going to do this, and we're going to need, if we're killing something, we need to make sure that your exits are open and that you have a way to get rid of the metabolites, or do we need to bind it up with something? And so that's
magic. Yeah, like charcoal, basically, right? I mean, being able to that's what.
So charcoal is important for some things, but we try to stay away from it here. We tend to use more carbon technology, like the fulvic acids, humic acids. We use some zeolites, things like that don't tend to be so constipating for people.
I got it. Yeah, right on. Cool. Yeah. That's what it's all about, is like removing toxins. One of my mentors, which we're going to be talking to next, Lisa, she was immediately like, hey, you're, no drinking for sure, because your liver is going to be challenged here, especially with, I had, H. pylori and HPV, and I had it all. I have dogs, and my dog sleeps in my bed with me, so I have all those things going on. You know what I mean? So
and it's not just, that's what I think it's important for people to realize. It's not just the things that we put in our body, but it's the things we put on our body. it's the people we surround ourselves with, it's the thoughts that we think, it's the energy around us, it's what's in the air, what's in the water, how good is your water? You know,
Right.
do you have mold? You know, have you been bit by ticks or bugs, or, you know, what's your vaccine history? There's a whole lot to consider with what gets us to where we're at today in our health journey. And I think now more than ever, toxins. That's a big part of what we do, is measuring toxins with people. What's your mycotoxin, heavy metals, VOCs, herbicides, pesticides, plastics, things like that. They all play a role.
Mold.
So,
Mold.
Yep.
So Sharon, I'm super excited to have met you. I'm excited to continue to work with you. I highly recommend you to anybody that's in the area. If you're not in the area and you're visiting Dallas, K6 would definitely be a worthwhile stop. You guys are all, you understand everything that we're trying to do. I mean, the fecal playbook's all about food frequency, removing toxins, supplements, and full extract cannabis oil. You know, full extract is one of our big.
So many things that we need to heal are already present in nature. It's not that we need a scientist with a microscope to come up with a synthetic version of it. We need to be free and able to take advantage of plant medicine, of, you know, really strengthening our endocannabinoid system, you know, whatever it takes. And with frequency too, it's vibration, right? Everything is about frequency and vibration, and we want a really nice high vibration as we go through life.
I like it. Well, we did a breathworks event for like 3 minutes about an hour ago, and I still got a buzz from it. Oh my God.
Oh, I remember the first time I ever did Wim Hof was my introduction to breathwork. And the first time I ever did his, I was like, I think I'm levitating. It definitely gives you a buzz and a tingle, and you realize, wow, am I even breathing the rest of the time? Because this was amazing.
That's what I got into that state, even in a short period of time. So I'm excited to work with Ocean again, and Sharon, once again, excited as can be that you're on here. Thank you for sharing all your information with everybody. I love the way. You bet. I love the way you work, and looking forward to coming in and seeing you again.
Well, it's always a pleasure to see you, Jim.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Miranda, any closing statements at all?
I mean, she covered so much. I've got pages of notes. I think that it's really important that we approach these things like recognizing that Eastern and Western medicine are ultimately after the same ends. And it sounds like you've really done a great job of marrying those. So
it's always a journey, and there's always something new to learn. Healthcare in America is changing. The face of disease is changing, and the toxins around us have a lot to do with it. And I think that drives a lot of the cancer that we see in people. It's not, and that's why there will never be a cancer drug, you know, like that one cure all. It's because it's the culmination of those exposures and experiences that have led the body to be where it is.
We have to be smarter than it, right? Awesome. That's hey, have a great Friday. Thank you again for taking time with us. You've been very informative, and I'll be sending people your way, and I'll see you soon. Damn, Ocean, man, we all caught a serious buzz, man.
Still tingling.
I know, we're all different degrees of high, you know.
Well, we've all got different cellular structure, different cellular makeup, so it's going to hit everybody a little different. So imagine me, I had a room of 40 women one time by myself, and half of them were losing their mind, and you know, trying to hold space for 40 women all dressed in white, and I was dressed in white. It was a women's retreat in Sedona, and I got invited to take these people through, and you never know what's going to come up. You know, I've had a room of 18 and all of them losing their minds completely, and all the demons coming up talking in tongues, and my head's on a swivel as I'm making sure they're not stepping on each other and breaking wrist. And I look back and the guy's upside down in a handstand on the wall, blindfolded. in a journey. And he used to dance with Krishnikov. I've seen the craziest stuff in breathwork journeys, and it all depends on how deep people are willing to surrender and how they're willing to get out of the mind. One of the subtitles of my book is "You must lose the mind to find the heart." So the triggers in our trauma, they happen neurologically and through the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the ears, and the senses. And then
so save that. We need to get you live. We got 15 minutes. Yeah, no, we're getting ready to be live. Jamie, you want to bring us live?
We're live, Jim.
We're live.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We didn't miss it.
Okay.
We got it.
Let's go.
So
Okay.
the trigger's hitting the nose, the senses, the eyes, nose, mouth, ears, and senses. And that trigger hits our body wherever the trauma, abuse, abandonment, wherever that's on a cellular level stuck and stored and trapped. That's why we actually create our own disease inside our own bodies. And so to break those, the next book I'm going to write that's not even with my publisher yet is called The Cosmic Soul, Where Science Meets Spirit. And I go deep into the black body mass, black body radiation, and the system of this rectifier system circuit that's in us, like this system of batteries. And in each battery, there is stored energy and stuck traps and energy. So when we blow that stuff apart, then all of a sudden it releases that stuff. And we're like, when we've got too much of it, we're like Pigpen and Peanuts. And we're walking around with this black cloud around us. And all of the stuff we feel a victim to that's happening to us, we are actually energetically calling it in on a subconscious level. On a cellular level, we're actually calling that energy in. So when we can take ownership for our lives and we own our shit and get on with it, we can start the healing process. But we've got to clear away all those layers so that you can get down to the pelvic floor and start releasing that energy up and up the spinal column and pulling it down, up the spinal column and pulling it down. Most people are stuck here, and then the energy gets processed through the computer and it just goes back out like that. So when we can get the process to where it comes through naturally through left side feminine, back through the middle where we're the teacher and the student, to the right side masculine, back through our gut and our intuition, and we start trusting that, back left side feminine, back through and out right side masculine. Then we're in balanced flow with the energy that the Creator's given us, and we start rearranging ourselves on a cellular level through the breath. When we build enough DMT and we boost our serotonin levels, and which connects our, like I said last time, our brain and our nervous system, the neurotransmitters, and we build enough dopamine, same thing, euphoric state, connecting the brain, the nervous system. And then we come up and out with that, and we balance between the nose, mouth breathing that I do. We actually balance the CO2 and the O2 on a proper level. That's life, that's death. Life, death. So we're breathing in everything that serves us, and we're exhaling everything that no longer serves us. And it's the same thing we have to do in our life. And I have an alchemical process called Surviving the Mind Field I'm going to launch soon. And I take people through calcination, separation, dissolution, dissolving, to where we come back at the final step of coagulation and we come back as a whole person. So that's part of the process that I do when I work with people in my retreats. We do a lot of writing, a lot of cord cutting, but we do a lot of breathing, a lot of breath work journeys. And it's really powerful to watch people heal themselves, whether it's a 4-body system. So we have to heal the mind, the mental body, the emotional body, spiritual body, and the physical body. And I believe we were born with everything we need to do all of that within our own system. And I've watched it happen. So one of my best testimonials is, I think I sent you that. I'm not going to have Janine come on today, but Susie Janine. So she came to my women's retreat last February with 8 women, and she called me a week before the women's retreat. She goes, "What the hell am I doing coming to a breathwork retreat? I have a collapsed lung that was caused by a pulmonary aneurysm that was created by chemotherapy for my leukemia that's in remission. Why the hell, how am I coming to a breathwork retreat?" I said, "You're a self-healer, and you're going to come and you're going to heal yourself. I promise you. Just surrender to the process and watch what happens." She came for 5 days and did 6 breathwork journeys and had the most amazing journeys through those breathwork. A lot of screaming, a lot of F words coming out. But 4 weeks after that, she sent me a message, and she said, "I need to talk to you right now." she called me up and said, "You're not going to believe this." And I said, "Yeah, I will. Tell me." She said, the doctors at the Mayo Clinic did a scan on me and my pulmonary aneurysm's gone. And I'm like, yeah, of course it is. She goes, they've never seen one disappear before. And I was like, "You're a self-healer." And when we get that medicine, what we're doing is the biggest thing we're building is nitric oxide. And I'm teaming up with Dr. Nathan Bryan of pneumonitric oxide. He's actually coming to Peru with me in 4 weeks. And so people don't build enough nitric oxide because they don't breathe deep enough, long enough. The ancient Mayans and shamans of old will all talk to you about breathing and how the breath can heal you. And we've gotten away from all of that when we've gone into big pharmacy and everybody's programmed to take a pill and look outside themselves for healing. And people all over the world doing ayahuasca every weekend and San Pedro and Cambo. And it's like, what? You guys are killing brain cells. You're actually disconnecting your pathway between the above and the below by doing that stuff. I've been sober 24 years and I've never done a plant medicine in my life. And I'm in Southern California now, and I'm watching all these people doing this stuff all the time. And I'm like, even if it was a thing, the shamans of old never gave that to the people. Only the shaman took it. The shaman took it to travel in the spirit world to get the information from his guides on how to heal the community, right? They never gave it to the people. And it's become a fad in this country that is absolutely killing people. And it's destroying them on a neurological level, I believe. It's my version of it. Is there a space and a place for people that have cancer to use the plant medicines in the right way? I believe so. But what's going on, what I see are people, going out to Joshua Tree and 150 of them are gathering and doing mushroom journeys. And that's getting high. That's just my version of it. So when
we're taking medicine and making it recreational.
It's ridiculous. And it's like, all these passed down stories of frog poison and people poking, Cambo all in their skin, getting 20-minute highs. I'm like, you guys really believe that some shaman in the Amazon jungle walked out into the jungle and just magically stepped on a frog and got healed through the poison that went into his body? So he started giving it to all the people. And you say that's just how that's come about. I said, it's not. It's just, to me, it's like there's a lot of fakes and frauds out there making a lot of money on people on this stuff right now. And they're actually harming them. And so many of the people that I'm running into that are doing that stuff are so disconnected. They have zero social skills. They are not respectful of other people's time. They're not able to stay in relationships. They have nothing in their lives that I want. So I do it naturally through the breath only. And breath work is such a hot topic right now. And there's a lot of people doing it. But the reason I did my course and I started training my own facilitators was because I witnessed the ones that are teaching breath work that are just taking money. And there's a JP guy, I'm not gonna say his name, but I saw that he was like, come to Denver for 3 days, 4 nights, 4 days, 3 nights. I'll teach you, breath work, and I'll give you a certification to be a breathwork certified breathwork teacher. And it's so not authentic. It's so not okay. It's very irresponsible to think you can do that. And he was charging him a lot of money, like $3,300 to come in, and no lodging, no food, nothing. I'm like, well, screw this stuff. I'm going to do it the right way. So I've got my course online right now where you can see everything I do on how to prepare yourself before you open a container, how the breath work's done, when to touch, why to touch, where to touch, how to touch, when to come in, why to come in, how to leave, when to leave, when you're moving energy on people, how to make a playlist, through the chakra system. And then
is your goal to scale this, Ocean?
This is ready. I've put all the authority pieces in place, all the books that I've written. I've got books 6 and 7 coming out. I'm really tapped in with Christen Hagan and the Kevin Harrington team. I've co-authored 2 books with Kevin now. I've been on his television show. This is ready. I've got all the authority pieces ready for this to go. I'm looking for the financial backing to really start marketing and pushing all this, because I just sat with 2 doctors last night at a dinner, and they're in. One of the guys, a Latin American doctor, he goes, I want to learn what you're doing. Dr. Lizzie out of Mexico City, she wants me to fly in a couple of weeks if I can. She wants me to train her. What you just experienced in 3 minutes on the last episode, imagine an hour and a half. And imagine doing that 6 times in 5 days.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And then what the best part about the event that I do when I do these is the group, whether it's a women only or men only, is they bond. And then the last day, I have them co-journey each other. So one of the women will be laid down blindfolded, going through the breathwork journey, and I'll shorten them down to like an hour and 5 minutes. And the other person will be sitting next to that person holding space. And then they're all eyes on me. And I'm showing them, okay, we're going to move energy here. They actually move energy on their partner, and they're actually moving energy. And then after a 20-minute break, we switch and they do it to each other. I do this in couples retreats as well. So powerful. The couples touch each other.
That's marriage counseling right there.
Well, you know what? I tell people I'm not a therapist. I'm not a marriage therapist. You don't come into my breathworks as a couple.
That's the good news.
You might want to not be together when it's done. You might witness the other person's journey, and it's like
which should be what it's all about. It's like
you're there
putting
to
you back together if you don't belong together.
Yeah, you're there to witness your partner's healing in their journey. If they're crying, sobbing, you can't go in and save them. You have to hold the space for them and witness what they go through, and vice versa. And what I do with couples is I have them get a canvas and easel and acrylic paints. And after they co-journey each other in the couples events, I have them paint on the same canvas. And it's amazing.
Cool.
They make the most amazing paintings. And then some of them have not stayed together. You know, it's like, shit, we've been grabbing onto this soul contract that's been expired for 5 years. What are we doing?
Marriage is a hard agreement. You know, it's a tough, lifelong, it doesn't work for everybody.
It doesn't. I mean, I've done it 3 times.
Yeah. Well,
I have more of a science nerdy question. So how do you think about, I know there's this sort of nascent field of like life extension science. How do you think about the role that breathwork plays in that?
Most people go through their whole lives and they short breathe their whole lives. They don't. You'll add years and years onto your life when you breathe this way and do breath work on a regular basis. And I teach a more meditative one where it's just like, you know, just.
Now I could do that.
And you can feel that, right? You felt that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you do that a long time and you bring yourself back to the present moment, you know. And I can take a minute to do a draw in and then a minute to slow push it out. And when you do, when you do that, you'll bring yourself back into presence. I can do it in one breath, but 5, 10 of those in the morning before you start your day, you'll start your day in a whole new space. Because most people get up and the monkey mind goes and they start their day and they jump in with their kids. If a mom that's a single mom will just go give herself 10 minutes in the morning and do that in a quiet space before she jumps in and turns into mom, then it'll regulate her system in a way that she's never had it regulated before, and she'll go in with a calmer presence.
She'll be a better mom.
She'll be a better mom, and you can do those. You ever have that time at 4 p.m. and your whole day's been just nuts, crazy, and you just got to go. You just got to go.
Oh, you need.
You take a breath. That's your body teaching you what you need to do to heal yourself, to come back to presence, to regulate that anxiety and that fear that you're feeling. I just had a woman on the phone a minute ago that was earlier this morning was crying because she had so much anxiety going on, and she's a friend of mine. And I said, take some breaths with me. And she just started crying. She goes, oh, thank you. I said, yeah, none of this stuff you're stressed about is happening right now. So it's really about being present. Meditation is, I remember I met a guy named Michel Pascal who co-wrote a book with the Dalai Lama. And I flew to Toronto to see him and spend an hour with this guy. And I get there and I know that I've got something to learn from this guy. And I sit in a room with him. He just finished a movie he did with Deepak Chopra and Michael Beckwith and Gabriella Wright. And I'm sitting there with him, this little short, bald-headed French guy. And I'm looking at him and I start talking. And it's just he and I in a closed room. And he stopped. And I'm like, what? He goes, did you come all the way from Sacramento to Toronto to talk? Or did you come here to listen? And I said, I came to listen because I will talk now. And he starts talking to me about meditation. He goes, I don't know who did this blah, blah, blah meditation. This is a Western thing. In my monastery in Kathmandu, that's not what we do. We just practice cutting a cucumber and then we cut the next slice of the cucumber. And so all we do is presence 24/7, presence. And that's what people feel with me when they're with me, is like, I'm nowhere else. The monkey mind's gone. I'm with you, I'm listening, I'm paying attention, and then you feel that, and it's because it's an actual gift you give people. It can actually bring people to tears that haven't experienced somebody that's fully in their full present moment, because they know that you care about them, and they can feel the love that's emanating out of your eyes and your chest to them. Yeah.
Well, Ocean, I don't know if you feel like we've run you around a little bit today, but we appreciate you being patient with us, man. You've just been amazing. I mean, you gave me the head rush, the rush of the best rush I've had all day. There's no doubt about it. In a while for sure. And look forward to.
I just signed up a couple of your ladies for my women's retreat coming up October.
Well, I was going to say, man, you're costing me some money, but that's money well spent. Hey, appreciate you, brother. I'll give you a call later, Ocean. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. So welcome. Miranda, thank you so much.
So great to meet you.
Okay. Yeah, you too. Blessings.
Cheers.
Okay, see you guys. Bye-bye.
Namaste. Jamie started the day out going over this, but I just want to reiterate that this event is being provided for educational and informational purposes only, does not constitute the provision of medical advice or professional services, should not be used for diagnosing or treating a health problem or disease. Those seeking personal medical advice should consult with a licensed physician. So by way of continuing to view the session, you're acknowledging the preceding disclaimer and accepting that these sessions are being provided for informational purposes only.
Awesome.
Now,
Thank
you.
And what I'm going to start that off is saying, don't go to the doctor unless you absolutely have to.
Well,
so
that's just Jim's opinion.
That's just my opinion. And no, we're excited to have Lisa join us. I met Lisa a couple years ago. I was kind of digging into what was going on, and Lisa is really good friends with a good friend of mine. So it worked out really well. I started just going to visit her. I mean, off the cuff. I mean, absolutely had no idea what I was walking into. I had no idea what resonance or frequency was at all. I'd never really even heard of Royal Rife, up to this point. So when I showed up at Lisa's, she took it from there, and now I'm a big believer, and she is one of my good friends, and we do a lot of stuff together, and we can't be more excited to have you helping us educate people across the world.
Thank you so much. Really good to be here in this capacity. And I love that where your heart is, that you are continually striving to get the word out and education. And I know that through your personal experience of FECO or FECO, I'm sorry, I don't know the correct pronunciation. Anyway, but
it's FECO, it's all the same, okay. Man. It's all medicine.
Your life experiences, has led you on this journey, and I love that you're taking each part of it. I tell all of my patients, they're the CEO, right? They're in the middle. And you have to, we don't go to that one and done physician anymore. You might have an internal MD, but you need your nutritionist, you need your herbalist, you need your resonance therapy, you need, there's so many more things, just like the thermography practitioner you just had. There's so many more spokes in that wheel that you need to include. And learn what you can from each one of them. I want to meet that one person who does everything, but but in the meantime, there's so many specialists, and I love frequency medicine is coming to the forefront. And if we were in other parts of the world, it would be in the forefront, and it's just not so much here. I think the United States has the best trauma. If you're in a wreck, right, you need immediate care. I think you're one of the best care you can get in the world. And it's, our ER guys are a lot of the wartime docs who have had to improvise. And I think that's why we're the best in the world at trauma. But, preventative care and chronic care, I think we have a lot of improvement to make. And I think that's where nutritional and energetic medicine comes in, and it's really through platforms like yours that are just exploding, and people are so hungry for it. And I applaud what you're doing. Thank you, and all of your crew.
Thank you, Lisa. That's awesome. It's nice to have validation, and also just based on what you and I have gone through together, I came to you with no real symptoms. I felt like I was in pretty good shape. I was coming off of COVID, the pandemic, and I was drinking a lot and smoking a lot of weed, to be honest. And I needed just to get, kind of rebalanced, and I this was a great opportunity for me to do it. And considering I had no idea what I was walking into, the first time you scanned me, I was full of bacterias and viruses, man. You're like, holy crap, man, and you kept calling out certain things that were understandably in me. Do you have a dog? Yep. Do you go out to the lake? Yep. Do you have just multiple things that added up. And then ultimately we found a couple different cancers that were very early stage and not even detectable by Western medicine, which is really amazing because I just got back to the doctor about a week before that and they didn't say shit about any of it, So what we were able to find and then the next 6 months of us working together, of me coming up to see you, but also me, quitting drinking for a whole month, and really backing off on a lot of things, we saw amazing changes. And one of the neat parts, and I would love for you to talk to the people about it, is that how cancer works and how the body actually takes care of it. And like you said, where it encapsulates it and it controls it, and how bioresonance actually does what it does.
Cancer cells were normal cells. They're normal, happy cells. And then through life, trauma, drama, 5G, bad water, food, etc. 5G, a big one, mold. They get transformed and change, and they don't know when to die. And we have to give them those signals back again. And there's a lot of ways to do that. I think all of healing is to raise the frequency of the cell. Every food that we give, even prayer, essential oils, bioresonance, which is frequency, everything is to raise the frequency of the cell. And if we can get that cell's frequency back to optimal, the cancer will turn off and it'll go back to being a normal, happy cell. But your body, the old research about 10 years ago, as of 10 years ago, your body went through cancer at least 10 times. It knows what to do with it. It encapsulates it. Like a lot of scarring, they say, in our thyroid is because Epstein-Barr, cytomegalo, et cetera, got into the thyroid tissue. And your body just encapsulates it and walls it off. Well, now we've got some scar tissue we got to deal with, but that's okay. We can do that with like a proteolytic enzyme. But your body does know what to do. It can turn off these viruses. There are things we can do to get rid of the toxins. Like I'm a huge fan of Dr. Gonzalez and his protocols for coffee enemas are a big thing of cancer. When you're breaking down tumor burdens and you have all this toxicity, and you can step up the process of glutathione by 700%. There's nothing else that does that. And glutathione is your master antioxidant. So, and coffee is the only substance known to do that. You need to get an organic coffee. We certainly don't want to introduce glyphosate or anything else. Wilson's is a good brand. You can research their website. But coffee enemas, if you retain it 15 minutes, you do a liver and colon dialysis, so to speak, 5 times. If you can hold that coffee enema for 15 minutes, then you're just flushing toxins. I do recommend charcoal capsules before and after, like a catcher's mitt, to catch all these toxins. I kind of think of when you do that, you're squeezing the liver and like a sponge, and so all this stuff's coming out. It seems like it captures it. But what else about cancer? There's a lot we can do. I want to alkalize the body through your diet. Really try to get organic. It's important. Lower your sugar. My brother has had a long-term cancer in his face that went away, came back. We're still battling, but every time he eats sugar, he has a lot of pain. And he asked his physician, hey, does diet matter? And they were like, no, it doesn't matter, but it does. It matters. We don't want sugar and alcohol, and junk food's okay. Find healthy junk food. You know, it's out there. Just
You
find.
don't eat it every day, right? Don't eat
Right.
it every day.
Right, you know, find your grass-fed, grass-finished beef. You know, find your French fries, but fry them in coconut oil. Some, you know, there's a lot of things we can do. You had lived a full life. You have lived when you came.
He's had many
There's no doubt
adventures.
about it. Yeah, I was a meth addict, man. You know, I for a long time and did everything that brings up. You know, so yeah,
That takes
did.
a lot of courage for you to say that, and it's such a role model for you to admit that, because we all have our stuff. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's porn or food or, you know, drugs. It doesn't matter. We all have our stuff. We all need that dopamine fix. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So I'm clean for 15 years. I quit keeping track, so which is good.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, what else do we need to do?
Miranda's.
Well, no,
I know
want to
she's got
hear
a couple of questions.
what you have in mind to say, but I also wanted to say our previous speaker said a little bit about using Rife machinery, and I know this is not medical advice or anything, but she talked a little bit about using it for treatment. I'm really interested in what you alluded to about using it more for diagnostic modalities. So can you say a little bit theoretically about how one would do that?
I had in 2017, I had stage 4 Lyme disease. I was dying. I had spent $100,000 and I was still dying. And, you know, the universe put me in Houston with a doctor from South Africa who introduced me to frequency medicine. Before that, I was in the operating room for almost 20 years. So very used to medical machinery, et cetera. So I was a natural fit when it came to this modality, and just, you know, as luck would have it, that physician's nurse quit. So I'm in the middle of treatment. I had a PICC line, and I'm learning how to use this diagnostic machine from Russia called a PhysioSpect. And it's headphones. It operates off of frequencies. And, you know, it would, when it looked at your stomach, it would say, not just parasite, it would say Ascaris, or it would say, you know, H. pylori. So we could, and H. pylori is the #1 cause of stomach cancer. So, you know, it could, if there was beginnings of cancer, it would say that, and it would say at what level it was, or possibly in the colon or liver, you know, where we could pick up some liver flukes or things like that. It's been my experience using this and with so many people through these years, that once we get rid of these flukes or parasites or these viruses, the cancer just goes away, or at least according to this machine. And it is at such a low level that normally Western medicine can't pick it up. And there is a level, there's a parameter that where I say, you know what, why don't you go get a test, because I think that they'll be able to find it at this level. But I also ask them for like a month. Give me a month, let's see what we can do, and let's see if we can't get a lot of this stuff to go away. But I also respect their path. If they're with MD Anderson and they're getting radiation, chemo, whatever, that's their path, that's their choice, that's fine, and I will be an adjunct to it. But if we can wait on those things and just try through this PhysioSpect, then let's do it. The next thing, there's a DNA-based company that has frequencies to kill things. So Dr. Rife, you know, 80 years ago, et cetera, he had a dial, and he would put the microorganism on a slide, and he would shoot frequencies to it. And he would say, okay, you know, at 5,000, it blew that up. So now we have DNA-based frequencies that they literally, instead of 5,000, it's 5,000.015. So that we can dial in much more efficiently to whatever we're trying to kill. So I healed my Lyme disease in 3 months, no problem. And then other co-infections that I had, and it just to turn into a clinic, because I was having better results with Lyme and cancer than the physician was. So it just kind of turned into a clinic that way. But my successes started coming whenever I started getting these DNA-based Rife frequencies and plugging them in instead of Dr. Rife's. I do still use some of his, but I've had much better luck with these other ones. They also have a list that you can get free. You can go on their website. It's CPS Bioresearch. And you can go on their website, and that there's a list of, oh, it's fascinating. Human pathogens, animal pathogens, plant pathogens. So you can get frequencies for stuff to kill in like your animals, to get rid of their parasites. You don't have to inject them with terrible vaccines and drugs.
Yay.
I know, it's fantastic, in your plants as well. So they have a list of different types of cancers and what they consider to be the cause. And these are backed up through links to PubMed articles. So this is not just their opinion, they're giving data through peer-reviewed documentation of why they say that there's 5 animal-related viruses that are in relation to breast cancer and why we should kill those. Where are those from? Vaccines. That's what they grow the medium on. So whenever I work on breast cancer, there's literally 5 different animal sources, like mouse mammary tumor virus, bovine leukemia, avian erythroblastosis, that's simian virus 40, that's just 4. There's also cytomegalovirus, a couple more things, but when I treat breast cancer, that's what I do. And any other cancers like the melanomas, et cetera, we go to the papillomaviruses, things like that. So that's how I personally work on it, as well as some other recommendations. You know, most all cancer patients are severely deficient in minerals. I use BioPure US for that. But as far as treatment goes, that's my preference. I do like to add in a BPC 157 from Integrated Peptides.
I need some of that, by the way.
Yeah, I had the luxury of scanning most of my patients every week with the PhysioSpect, and we could stop the cancer, but I couldn't get it to go away. Well, then whenever I learned about this peptide, within 2 weeks, everybody's cancers were just falling off, just going away, and they weren't coming back. And it also gives you great skin. But it would show up at all cancer sites. And so the proponents of it are like, you know, we don't know, is BPC causing cancer, but it's not. That's like saying tires on a car are causing a car wreck. Just because they're there doesn't mean they caused it. So BPC 157, and I used integrative peptides. They're oral or spray. They're a United States company. I'm very pleased with them. Go straight to the source. Try not to get it off of Amazon. There's too many knockoffs, etc. But that,
hey, Lisa,
really helped. Yes.
We brought in a special guest to say hi.
Okay.
Huff.
Hey,
Huff from Poland.
Huff.
Yeah, so here we go.
Hey, Lisa, how are you doing?
Hi.
I was just listening in on your talk, and really powerful information. I love your passion and truly speak from the heart. So I love what you're sharing. So thank you for being so open with what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. Well,
That's
it's
exciting.
good to talk to you. There's you know, so much we have in common, and it's hard to find another bioresonance practitioner. And you talk about a heart. Oh my gosh, Huff has so much information. To follow his feed is incredible. So
Well,
It really
it's
is.
just
And
there's-
I met Huff through Lisa. So Huff,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's finally
Small
nice to
world.
see the face and to hear you speak about your practice and how you came upon what you're sharing, and you use a lot of tools that I also use as well. So it's good always to see the overlap that
Yes.
we are using effective tools and that people are benefiting from them. And the sharing is the most important part. So I'm glad that you're able to take some time and to be really explain what tools are useful right now, because a lot of people are lost. They know that the medical system is not helping them, but they don't know where to go.
There's not enough of us, I agree. So it's great to get the information. And, you know, people can do this themselves. That's a wonderful thing, like the machine that you sell, the PhysioSpect, you know, which is bioresonance. Despite a different name, they can learn to do it. There's a lot of different things they can learn to do. The latest thing I'm coming on to is biomagnetism.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
which I wasn't really aware of. And I was on a Zoom meeting and a physician did it through the Zoom call, and it knocked me, the power of it knocked me back. And, you know, I'm learning to start treating cancer with that as well, because through treating these viruses, et cetera, we can literally, we alkalize the body. Wherever we put these magnets, alkalizes the body. And then so you'll put a positive and negative somewhere, and then it's like it turns off that switch in between it. So it's another fascinating modality that I'm starting to use, that I think more of the Latin countries, it's frontline medicine there, as well as India.
Yeah, that's true. When I was in Costa Rica, I met a practitioner who came for bioresonance, and they told me about biomagnetic therapy. So I met a doctor who had taken the course online. And so I decided to go there, and I did a scan on myself with my equipment, and I went over and let Raza do a biomagnetic session on me, and the results are very close. So I knew that there was something to it. And she also explained that it's the pH of the body, that the magnets help to regulate the pH and to take it out of an acidic state.
Right.
And
Yeah.
as you know, acidity is really one of the main reasons why people have so many illnesses, because their body's not in a state of a proper balance of pH.
I agree. There's a couple more things I want to mention before we go in relation to cancer. Weber laser in Germany. So this is a laser watch. It does 4 different colors laser. And this is something I highly recommend my patients wear every day for at least an hour. And there's so many things that it changes in the body. All of their lab work becomes normal within 6 months, except for hormones. And I'm talking A1C, et cetera. But they have a clinic in Mexico that they give you a food like spirulina, chlorella, and an IV, something like that. But then they'll have a usually red laser. They will take this fiber optic cable and put it right into the tumor, the breast tumor, the bladder, wherever it is. So you know the disco ball, when the light hit a mirror and it just shot it times 100, right? That one ray. So when you have certain substances in your body, it takes that laser ray and potentiates it times 100 all throughout the body. And then this laser goes to the cancer cells and just turns them off. And it's a fascinating modality, and they're having amazing success. And they are right over the border in Tijuana. They will pick you up. You fly into San Diego and they'll pick you up and take you over there. But they are having incredible results. It's just another cancer modality that people might want. I use this every day, and it's something that you can use at your home.
I'm a believer.
Yeah. The other thing I want to mention is shockwave. And I actually learned about this from the gentleman that is the head of Weber Laser. Anyway, it's what's in all the ED clinics now, the erectile dysfunction clinics, and it's just a wave of energy that goes through like a cam, but it shoots out a wave of energy, and it does a micro damage tear to the tissue, and I mean micro. And so it actually builds new vessels, more blood supply, but it starts sending out stem cells. So if you have a wound, like a diabetic ulcer that the body's just forgotten about and it's been there forever, you can run this over it. You can wake the wound up, and the body says, oh, wait a minute, we have an injury. You know, we need to send healing. We need to send stem cells, white blood cells, let's go. How it related to cancer was I watched Doc Weber was treating this massive lymphoma with the shock wave, and he said, this is just going to break this whole tumor up. You know, and again, this is something you could do at home or go to a practitioner, but it was fascinating to me to watch this process. Click, 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 click. You can also use it cosmetically because it sends out collagen, etc. The orthopods love it because, like an Achilles tendon tear, that might take 2 years to repair because there's no blood supply. Well, look, in the medical models, it's taken like 3 months for this to repair an Achilles tear, Achilles injury. But when you're using a shock wave on it, because it brings that blood supply and repairs. So they're doing amazing things with the shock wave as well.
Huff has one of those, I believe, too, right?
Yeah, I've also recently have gotten into the shockwave type of, it's another frequency-based device. So one of my friends was raving about this device called the Rapid Release Pro 3 from, I believe it's from California. It's made in the US. So I contacted them and I looked into their device and I was really excited about testing it. So I bought one and I've had it for about 3 months. And I definitely concur with Lisa that it causes micro tears and does cause stem cells to be released. It's almost like you have mesotherapy or PRP where it damages the site, but this is on such a micro level and it's so small, as Lisa mentioned, that it doesn't stress the body too much, but it does cause a healing effect and it causes the body to wake up and to start working in that area. So yeah, I think shockwave therapy, there's also a Schumann resonance frequency device that are very popular in Poland, and it's a device that you lie down or sit on and it vibrates at certain frequencies. And this can also help to, wake up the lymphatic system, move fluids around, and have a whole myriad of other effects that probably have not even been discovered yet. But again, it's just all vibration and frequency. That's really what we've been missing, whether it's light frequencies such as lasers or it's the shockwave therapy. It's still all resonance.
Awesome. You guys are awesome. Honestly, you guys are doing a lot of things that most people wouldn't. Just like you were saying, I'm doing, Lisa. I mean, you're going out of the box. You're risking your livelihood to help other people. I mean, and we're all in the same thing together. If we can join forces we're doing that right now. Honestly, you guys might not recognize that, but that's my plan. Is we're gonna work hard together, and we're gonna be a team to be reckoned with. I mean, and that's what we're all about. I mean, we really feel that I'm all in. I mean, I 100% am willing to take my grandkids to either one of you guys. And fix fix the treat the root cause.
Yeah, that's the important thing for me is I have 2 daughters and they have a lot of friends, and so I'm around a lot of younger people. And so I can't help but imagine what type of world are they growing up in. And so if we can lay a foundation of a healthy body and a healthy mind, they'll be able to navigate this minefield a lot easier. We may not be able to make all the corrections in our own health, but if we can pass it down the lineage to the younger generations, for example, my daughters, they're around bioresonance a lot of the time because a lot of our friends come for sessions and they're around, and both of them, 10 years old and 6 years old, are able to identify anatomy on the pictures. They're able to understand in a basic sense what's going on and how the therapies help people. So they already have this confidence when they're young that there are tools available that, if I don't feel well, I can just ask daddy to do some ozone, or I can ask daddy to do some hydrogen, or maybe we need to do a scan and see what's going on with my nose. So sometimes they'll come and ask me like, hey, I'm feeling like a little bit of pain here in my nose. Do you think you could check or do some ozone? And so we've completely taken ourselves outside of the system. Yeah. And cool. I have a home clinic. So, I have a clinic for my family, but then it's available for community, for people in the area. For example, somebody had a tick bite 2 weeks ago, one of the neighbors. So she came over, I put an ozone cup on her and we treated the wound. Unfortunately, it was a little bit too long and she wasn't able to come enough. So she ended up having to take antibiotics. But it did help for when she came over and did. This tool was here for her to use. And so when I open the clinic in a couple of weeks, I'll be able to reach more people and start to get more in the practice of what I was doing about 2 years ago, because I do miss it's exciting, but it's also like bringing people together, like you're saying, practitioners together so that we can share all these resources and all the things we learn on a daily basis that sometimes we have nobody to tell. It's like, hey, I just made this amazing connection. Who can I share this with? And if we have a group or a guild of practitioners that are coming together and sharing openly, then yeah, we can actually change in mass populations, the vibration of where people will start to access health information, where they go to for that. And the rest of it will be a much better history, I think, for people who start to move away from the medical system. But like I said before, I think a lot of people right now are just kind of lost. And so if we're stepping up and saying, hey, yeah, we have some solutions for you, even though we know that there are legal implications, there are in certain jurisdictions, such as the United States of America, it can come down on you quite substantially in some ways. So I may have mentioned to you, Jim, that I'm also like heavily into the research of law, because there's also a massive ruse that goes into law with the legal system, and there are ways to practice and to do what we're doing and share what we're sharing, without the burdens of being worried that we may receive a lawsuit or some sort of warning or something. So hopefully within 3 months, I'll have some more solutions in that regard. It's been a long journey, but basically the solutions are in the court of equity, and being able to access a court of equity and learn how to do that, so that if you are faced with some sort of legal threat, you know how to deal with it. Because that's the only thing I see. I know many practitioners that they want to help more, but they're bound by their license. They're bound by their livelihood. They don't want to lose their livelihood. So they tend to remain unexpressed. And, for a lot of practitioners who are really coming from the heart, to be unexpressed is probably one of the toughest things that we can handle, because we want to express and share what we've learned, what can help more people, because people who are in alternative medicine, what I found is their primary purpose is they're not there for the money. Yes, they may be rewarded well for what they're doing because there are so many sick people, but their initial reason for doing it is usually comes from a heart space of just wanting to help people, to bring up the frequency. And you're seeing so many people, like as the invite mentioned on the email, you or someone probably has cancer, and that is true. So we know that this is an epidemic. We see so many people in our communities that are just not doing well, not enjoying their lives. They have children, they have other families, and it's just when you start to become more aware of your surroundings and your existence and health and consciousness and it all, then you start to realize that maybe it's time to move more into service, so that you can start to see the benefits of being in a community that's a higher vibration, that is healthy, is not struggling with diseases that are in most cases easy to treat, like Lisa said. I've also seen cancer go away with just treating parasites. And the body has an amazing ability to heal itself. But we've been blinded, we've been put on these blinders so that we can't really see where the cause is, because if we know what the root causes are, well, the whole economic model of the medical system will start to fall apart.
Well, my goal is to increase the frequency of these conversations. So here we go. This is a great start. I mean, I love getting you two on the same, go ahead. Lisa.
There's a couple more before. How much time do we have?
We got time.
We wrapping up. There's a couple more. Time. Melatonin, IASIS, and there was one more thing. Melatonin, there's a book, Dr. John Laurence, and it's Lieurance. He's a physician out of South Florida, and he wrote The Melatonin Miracle. And I had no earthly idea what all melatonin did. He has a chart in his book, and it just starts, the production of it starts dropping off after about the age of 10, but it has the ability to just take cancer cells and turn them back into normal, happy cells. And we are so deficient in it. They say that the sundown syndrome, that the Alzheimer's, that can just be cured with that's what's happening in the evening, is they have just zero melatonin. So it's something that we need to get back into our diets. Human beings as a species, after the age of, 25, 27, it doesn't care if you live or die. You're supposed to have procreated, and then you can just go away. So you don't make enzymes anymore. You don't make hormones anymore. There's melatonin. There's so many things we just don't make anymore.
Boron.
Correct. From your desperately need boron. You're exactly right. Iodine we desperately need, but we have to supplement these things if we're going to have a quality of life, and the more we know about them, the better. BPC 157, body protection compound 157, is normally made in the stomach. We don't make it anymore, but it turns off stomach cancer. It saves your gut. It goes and kills cancer, but these are things we have to supplement. So melatonin is one of those things. There is Dr. John Laurence. His company is Mitozen, Mitozen, and he has a lot of things on there, and there's some crazy stuff on there. He's a psychedelic fan, There's some wild things on there, but I think his products are exemplary. There's a product called Sandman, and it's 200 milligrams of melatonin. And that's what the researchers say that we need. I know it sounds scary, but they say that we need 200 milligrams of melatonin. It's time released. It's in a suppository. And it comes with 250 milligrams of glutathione. Our master antioxidants, it's removing our free radicals, etc. Jim, here's where you come in. It's full of terpenes.
Ah,
It's care of your anxiety, your psych, your all these psych problems, and healing as well. It's full of terpenes. It's also full of probiotics. It also has boswellia, frankincense in it. It's a fantastic product. And it's time release, so you will not, I have never been hungover. My patients are not hungover. I recommend you start cutting it in half and try half of one as you start, just a few times a week, because it is going to detox you. You are going to go through some Herxheimer's, but man, what a product. And we always take our probiotics top down, even if you are taking them with fiber, prebiotic, etc. It rarely reaches down to the colon. So when you can do a probiotic from the bottom, how fantastic is that? Plus the terpenes, I just think it's a great product. So that's something that I think really ought to be looked at. Another one is IASIS, is another modality, and it means to heal in Hebrew, and it's a microcurrent neurofeedback. Most all microcurrent neurofeedbacks, you have to participate. And I don't know about you, when I'm going anxiety, panic attack, the last thing I can do is say my mantra and breathe. And it's like, look, I just want to survive. Get me out of here. I can't. This machine is passive. So it requires no participation. So it doesn't matter how Alzheimer's, how autistic, how PTSD, how angry, it doesn't matter what we've got going on. If they can sit there, or a parent can facilitate their child to sit there, we can get this procedure done. And most people, the children that I've treated, most of them, 8 treatments are fine. They say kind of a sweet spot is 12. If we're dealing with a severe traumatic brain injury, you might be looking at 20. If you're in a constant trauma mode, if you're a frontline provider, or if you're in a domestic violence situation, if you're in trauma all the time, you're going to need these treatments until you get out of that trauma. But it's permanent. And it's the only modality that is permanent. And they've proven this through the brain scans. After each treatment, they've scanned the electrical activity of the brain, and they've proven, you know what, you don't lose this treatment. So it's not like you go get 12 treatments and it's gone. No, you should be pretty much fixed for life, unless you have another maybe life-altering event. But it is absolutely miraculous what I've seen happen with this. But where I'm going with this is cancer. When you're in the sympathetic system, when you're in the house with the bear, you're not healing, you're surviving. That's all you're doing. So many of us have only been in the sympathetic system our whole lives. We have never had that switch turned off. So you literally cannot heal when you're over here running from the bear. The IASIS machine literally turns that off, puts you in parasympathetic, puts you where you're safe, you're delta wave dominant in your brain. You're not over here in the beta, but puts you over here. And now your body says, oh, okay, we're safe. We're not in survival mode. Let's go fix that cancer. Let's go fix that Lyme.
you remember when I did that? I told you that I won cash cab, literally.
Right?
I was nailing it, man. I was like, shit. They would almost have to make that illegal for the contestants. It's not fair.
And, it will do that. When they learned after the initial study with the VA, they learned that people, by turning on your neurotransmitters in your gut, that they didn't need their dopamine fix anymore. So you're making your own. So they were putting down their substances. That was an unexpected side effect. A lot of other side effects, but you stop doing that. Oh, what's his name? That word recall thing. You're a better athlete. I do students prior to their exams. I'll do them for about 6 weeks, and then the night before their SAT, whatever, and they just do phenomenal. but it takes away anxiety and depression, etc. You will start remembering, your brain comes back online. I've had one severe traumatic brain injury, like can't talk, can't move. And in just 4 or 5 treatments, they were starting to speak and lift their arm to where they could get the computer, like, oh my gosh, the Nobel astrophysicist that had Lou Gehrig's. Anyway, you know how he looked at the computer and could identify words, etc. So this patient was able to do that from non-speaking, no communication, to being able to communicate with IASIS. Another one was a stroke patient. In 2 sessions, she was able to do a transfer from her wheelchair to her chair on her own, stood up on her own and just transferred. Her face also became symmetrical. So if it's fixing these muscles, what's it doing to the rest of the body? So IASIS is another big modality that is very helpful when we're treating cancer.
Shit, we can we're gonna have to allow more time next time when we schedule this, and we're learning so much. I mean, so much. Lisa and Huff, both of you guys are amazing. If I wasn't out of time attention span,
we
can go on for
we'll do it again. And just what a joy. So thank you. You know, this is it's my love. And
it's obvious.
It gives so much to me. My patients give me so much. I don't even know how to say it. So it feeds me. So thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I agree. It's almost in a way for me selfish, because I learned so much from working with people that sometimes I feel bad. I'm like, I've learned so much from this situation that they don't even realize. But it's how you make the way. Sorry?
Go ahead, Huff. I'm going to say it's time to give back.
Yeah. And I just wanted to share one thing. Elisa was talking about melatonin. And also, I think one other major concern is the blue light and the screens and the tablets and the TVs at night. And so possibly the glasses that are available may be helpful. I haven't really looked into them too much. I have a pair that I bought for my daughter, and I've asked her to start using them in the daytime for I think it cuts 40% of blue light in the daytime, the day glasses. So it might be also that people are just being exposed to too much blue light. Yes, they definitely, we all decline in melatonin production, but maybe we can also mitigate some of that by starting to become more aware of what we're being broadcasted with in terms of light. And also, yeah, brain entrainment is definitely a new frontier that is starting to come into mainstream as well. I recently purchased a device called a Lucia Light, which I've been working with for many years, and I finally decided to get one because of so much positive feedback. And the one thing that they've been able to, so it's basically 2 scientists from Austria who have developed this flickering light over the last 25, 30 years, and they were able to clinically show neurogenesis, which has only been seen with psilocybin and DMT as far as I know. And so because of that fact, it takes you into such a state of relaxation that, yes, your immune system, it really starts to fire up and will start taking care of some of the issues that have been neglected. And so the main distributor of this light, she came to Costa Rica in 2017. I invited her to come down I wanted to try the light out and share it with people there. And so we held sessions for a week. We collected people's feedback, and we looked at what was the effects from the light. And I was actually really surprised because I did a trade with Allison. I did an exchange for the light sessions for myself, and I did a scan for her. And she had, at that time, one of the best scans that I've seen. And so that was my indication that flickering light and brain entrainment have a lot to do with the overall health of the body, mind, and the spirit. And so from that point on, I was doing more research on flickering lights and brain entrainment. And over the years, I've tried different devices and tools, but I found this one by far to be the best. So I'm not trying to take anything away from any other tools we've been talking about. It's just there are a lot of tools available for people if they look around and start to spend some time doing some research online. They'll find that there are actually quite a few tools available. Some of them might be a little bit obscure and hard to find, and it may be hard to find maybe testimonials or people that can validate it. But that's why we do these types of events, so that we can promote some of these tools, which in my opinion, most of them, for the cost of them, they're invaluable for what they offer and what they can do.
Good return on investment, there's for sure. If health is important to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right on, guys. Well, hey.
We have had some
Fantastic.
amazing guest speakers. This has been amazing.
It really was. It was a high level, and I never expected it. I was really nervous coming into it because I don't really plan ahead. Lisa and I were supposed to talk last night. I was like, we got this, you know. So Miranda, thank you. Jamie, amazing job putting us all together.
Thanks,
Huff and Lisa.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Lisa, love you. Huff,
Yes.
you're awesome.
Love you. We'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.
Yes.
Good.
All right. Hello, everyone.
Right.
Welcome
Hello.
to a pretty cool session today. We're waiting for Jack Kungle. Oh, there's Jack. Right on. Okay, I've got two OGs here. I've got Don Baker and Jack Kungle. They both have their own skill sets. They're best friends. They're from Canada. Both of them I've been learning a lot from both of them. The cool thing about this conversation is that we're going to work on a program that I'm really passionate about, is why FECO and frequency work so well together. So I would like to introduce Jack Kungle is my mentor. Absolutely the number one reason that we're doing what we're doing. And then his buddy, Don Baker. I'd like to introduce Don. And Don, why don't you take a couple minutes and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Hey, great. Yeah. Yeah. Jack and I have crossed paths so many times because so many of our clients, just benefit from so many aspects of what we do, all naturally. And Jack's been in this game a long time. He's come through a lot of his own issues. Again, myself, that's where I came from too. Just trying to figure out how to kind of even heal ourselves. I've got a background in medicine. I was extreme rescue emergency medicine. I mean, and that's where it works on, when you look at Western medicine, hey, if you're in a car accident or you need a new hip or any of those types of aspects really is where that aspect of medicine works. But, in med school, there was like 4 hours on nutrition. That was it. 4 hours in the entire 4 years.
What the hell?
I think they're up to a full day now.
Ooh.
And, wow, so they never ever addressed what was at the root cause. It was just what symptoms. I mean, 3/4 of the education is what symptoms do I collect together, and then I'm kind of guessing when I'm diagnosing based on if I check off enough boxes. You have this, and then it was really just what drugs do I have? Because I mean, there was really 3 tools: you could cut, burn, or poison. That was it. Those are the only 3 tools you had to try to help. And in an emergency, yeah, it can work. But nothing was ever addressed as to any kind of work that we could do to make sure that we don't get into those emergency type situations, right? So preventative wasn't really on the radar at all. I mean, I think it's getting a little bit better, but it was still, that was the problem. And so I decided in 2004, I thought I actually had, I was working on building a box that would use frequency and vibration. I remember seeing Ella Fitzgerald hit the high note and, hey, buy Memorex tape because she could bust the glass. I thought, wow, that's pretty interesting. And so I started digging, and my background, I was a record producer, David Foster, Celine, all those guys. I was working in Canada, and to put myself through all my schooling, I was the only kid that could turn on the computers. And so I'm just getting close to 60 right
look
now.
at you now.
But I was that kid. Yeah, I was that kid. And so music and frequency and vibration were kind of already on my radar. I'd studied with a guy that was a right hand to the Dalai Lama over 4.5 years while I was helping him actually translate his stuff for this, for his, he was a Buddhist Lama. He was a right hand of the Dalai Lama, Lama Namse. And so that's where I first saw Tibetan bowls working and sound and frequency. And I went, whoa, this is really cool. And as a musician, I was getting it. Everything in the universe comes down to frequency and vibration. And the more I kept getting into learning, and so we exchanged, he taught me basically how the music and medicine worked in the Tibetan world back, and this was back in the 80s, right? And so I really had that foundation in more the holistic approaches to start off with. And that's where, you know, we were working with herbs and plants, and I was really, I mean, the whole universe was starting to light up for me. It's like, wow, this is how medicine really should be, is looking at what's at that root cause and treating that root, and then using sound and frequency and vibration, whether they were chanting, whether they were, like I said, using the bowls and stuff. So then, like I said, I had phenomenal success looking after a lot of clients. And so that was kind of my side hustle, was, you know, was basically doing Tibetan medicine on the side. And here I am using all these different things. Wow. I came across SEAC, which we know is a great tool that Renee Case up here in Canada. And then I found out that she, you know, she was messed over, highly messed over. They tried to burn her place down 7 times. I mean, here's this sweet old nurse that got an Ojibwe tea recipe from one of her clients and basically cured 5,000 people or more. And what did they do? They did everything they could to crush this woman. Why? You know, so I started asking all these questions. So I also went in, as I said, into the Western model so I could see really what was going on. And I, like I said, outside of the things that I saw that were helpful, that's about it. Everything else is really, you know, drugs, and more drugs. And so I said, well, something's got to happen here. And that's when I started playing with electronics and stuff. And I had, well, if I can recreate these Tibetan bowls and things, so I don't have to sit there and stir a bowl for an hour for a client. And so I started putting things together, but I started Google searching, and poof, up comes Dr. Royal Rife. And I go, holy crap. Here's a guy smarter than me 100 years ago with less crap to work with, right? This is a guy that invented the microscope, for crying out loud. I said, wow, this guy already did it. He was already super connected and dialed in. I mean, and so it started basically, he was a tool and die guy. So unlike me as a musician, he was a tool and die guy. He was also a musician, played guitar and that sort of thing.
So Don, he was treating the root cause, basically.
Yeah, well, what he did, because he was a pathologist, so to get himself through school, he was a tool and die guy. So he builds this beautiful microscope, right? And he could see down to the size of a virus. That's how good this microscope was. And so he's got his healthy cells on this side, and he's got his disease cells on the other side. And he's doing a comparison to see what are the differences in the cells and stuff. But he's got to light up his samples. Now, the tungsten bulbs were too hot, so you know, it'd burn up his sample. So he actually got a light from Tesla, his friend, the real Tesla, not the car Tesla guy. Anyhow, so he gets Tesla to send him a light. Now, this light has argon, neon. It has noble gases in it, okay? And the noble gases, like a neon sign, you can hold on to all day. It'll just get a little bit warm. So it doesn't create a lot of heat, but it makes frequency. So as he's adjusting it, all of a sudden, cancer cells blow up, and his healthy cells are like, fine. Hey, let's try that again. New slide. Wow. Holy crap. And as he's looking deeper into the cells, he can see there's a virus that gets inside, and that alters the DNA. And then we just had all these mRNA things. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So anyhow, it's a virus that he sees that's altering the DNA. So now the cell doesn't know how to turn itself off and replicate properly. It just keeps growing. That's cancer. So it's either that or radiation, he figured out. Those were the 2 main causal factors that were affecting that root level DNA. So he's like, oh, you know, all by accident, pretty much. Here he was just wanting to observe something, but what he observed was how everything was working. So he goes in and he does 12, almost 13 years worth of heavy research. I mean, starts in the petri dish, you know, in the test tube, works his way through the lab rats and the mice and the monkeys and everything else. This guy's making a big buzz, right? So the head of the American Medical Association hears, hey, there's this guy. He thinks he's got a cure. I'm going to send a team of 6 physicians down, and we're going to observe what this guy's doing, okay? Because we've just spent a load of money on chemo and radiation, okay? And this is in the early 1900s, right? So in goes this team. They rented a place out in La Jolla, just outside of San Diego, where Dr. Rife was based. And so they said, look, we're going to give you 16 4-stage terminal cancer clients. Nobody's got a hope in hell of getting out of here, okay? Let's see how you do. Well, within 70 days, 70, 14 were cured. deemed as such by Dr. Milbank Johnson, all these big name doctors, right? They're watching this happen. They go, holy shit. Well, we paid the rent till the end of the month. Let's see how these other two cats do. Well, they get cured too. So all 16 out of 16 are cured in 90 days. That's 3 months. Amazing. Well, they said, look, we've seen a miracle. They go back to the head of the American Medical Association, Dr. Morris Fishbein. Yeah. Who's paying his salary? See, we have to understand why we're in the mess is because Big Pharma bought up all the rights to the med schools. And then they biased that whole education. So that's why 3/4 of the education is drugs.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay. And they're petrochemically based pharmaceutical patentable drugs.
Jesus. So basically, when people talk about them drinking the Kool-Aid, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, but see, they twist it around like, okay, we're the quacks, okay? So here we are using all natural
They've done a good
things
job
that have
of
been
that,
used for forever, right? Okay, I mean, whether you were in a tribe and they're giving you herbs and stuff, we've been doing that forever, and it's been effective, right? I mean, not always was it effective. It's the same as Western medicine, but in most cases, they straightened out what was at the root cause of that person. And so we've been doing that for years, but now it's quackery if you used herbs or if you, and it wasn't just them, it was the chiropractors, everybody got kicked out in the early 1900s, right? And so they wanted to control everything. And that's what they did to Dr. Rife. They sent in the FBI the very next day. How dare this guy come up with a cure for cancer? How are we going to make our money back on all this investment that we just made? They went in.
Holy
the team
shit.
smashed all of his shit, burned his shit down. Luckily, there was enough guys that had copies and backups of things off to the side. Those are the guys that kept it alive. And that's what I found in 2004. But that's what they did. They drove the poor man to drink, literally, and he died a raging alcoholic because his whole life was decimated and crushed. They basically, and this is a guy that went through the Western system. And
he did it. He went through the proper channels.
Decimated him. Yeah.
He literally went through the proper channels, right?
Everything. And so when I started reading this, I went, holy crap. I mean, this guy was he was right on. He understood. And so I thought, if I can kill a virus or a diseased cell with sound, I can wipe out anything. So I did a whole stint. So that's why I was part of a group that did extreme rescue emergency medicine. Okay. So I spent 8 years in the extreme wilderness with a guy by the name of a guy by the name of Tom Brown. And Tom Brown was raised by an 83-year-old Lipan Apache when he was about 9 years old. This grandfather, they called him, came to spend his last 10 years with his grandson that lived next door to this white kid by the name of Tom Brown. And it was Tom that really picked up on it, as opposed to the grandson was there, but it was Tom that really turned it into something. So it was there that I learned how the universe worked at an elemental level. I learned how to make fire 20 different ways. I learned how to track anything through the woods. I could tell whether the bladder was full or empty. I mean, the foot map in Chinese medicine and Ayurvedics, same map. Okay, nobody's different. I could see whether the bladder was full or empty. I could see if they're left or right-handed. I could see everything. Everything left an imprint. And so not just that, but I mean, I learned every ceremony, every herb. I mean, it was over 8 years. I filmed this man and tried to record his teachings that he had learned from this Apache that was part of this Lipan Apache tribe that had spent his whole life after the final massacre. He spent his whole life going through North and South America, learning all of these skills and ceremonies and plants and herbs. So all of that got downloaded, and then it got downloaded onto me. And that's where I started to learn how everything works at that elemental level. So again, here's where I learned that, hey, what is a plant? It's just stored sunlight. It's photons from the sun, okay, getting in there, and all it is carbon dioxide. And that's the whole process of photosynthesis. It's synthesizing with the carbon. The oxygen comes off. That's what we breathe. And it's just stored sunlight. It's frequency and vibration. Oh, my God. the whole thing is all connected, right? And so I started figuring out and seeing all these patterns, right? So I thought, if I can hunt a turkey, I can surely hunt any disease. I just have to learn the disease. I have to learn the patterns of the disease. I have to learn how the whole thing comes together. And if I go and start at that root elemental level, whew, and that's what I did with Lyme disease. I've now cleared 906 cases. I'm like, wow,
beautiful,
gone, right? I mean, but I had to, so I just took what I learned and I found the frequencies by basically sweeping through to find what frequency basically destroyed it. Now, Lyme, for example, that's a smart bug. And now all the stuff's coming out that you can see CDC's facility on Plum Island from Lyme, Connecticut. That's where it all started. It escaped. Or it's like the Wuhan where somebody's bat got in somebody's soup. I don't know what happened. But all I know is there's a lot of sick people now. And this disease is smart. And so I figured out how that disease was changing its antigen structure, trying to survive and hide from everything from antibiotics to the body's own immune system. So, and again, used frequency and vibration. And just like this thing here that breaks glass, poof.
It's like supporting it's like a supporting document, right? Hey, so for the next 10 minutes, Don, can we focus with Jack? You and Jack talk about how FECO and frequency work together. You guys have a lot of common denominators we call patients, and give us some stories about that. Give us your philosophy on why. Jack, you go first. Why does it work together so well?
Well, I'm also a musician, and so when I started on my journey, I backed off with everything, and I went into music because all I knew is every time when I would do these certain frequencies, and that's playing a certain instrument, I would just feel better. And so now with the frequency and the cannabis oil, and pretty much I believe, if correct me if I'm wrong, Don, is that the cannabis oil aggravates the parasite and it raises its head, and then when it's active, then Don goes in and then he zaps it with the frequency. It's
100%.
Hells yeah, man.
Hey, and that's how it works. And like as Don was saying, address to the root cause. And that's basically when you come and you see us, that's what we do. We have to talk to you to reach down inside you. And you have to be honest.
Yep.
You have to be honest. Don't keep anything from us, because what you might be keeping, that's what we need to address.
Yep.
That's one thing that you're not telling us. And I tried to be as open, like me being raped and all of the above, so all those little things. And so that was the sliver for me that was infecting me since I was 5 years old.
Yep.
Damn,
so I carried that all that time and all that time, and all of a sudden it just reared its head. And I had no idea where is this coming from, because I had just blocked it all out. And then all of a sudden, things just started to come forward more and more and more. And all I know is the more I dealt with frequency and the more I dealt with cannabis, the less pain I had, the better frame of mind I was in. And I was slowly moving forward because I was stagnated. I was in one position, 22 medications, vomiting 25, 30 times a day. I couldn't leave my home. I couldn't walk. And all of a sudden, slowly, with everything. Oh my God, look, I can lift my arm. Oh my goodness, I can walk to the corner now. Oh my God, I can
magic.
It really is. And so this is, and like Don said, that like when you look at the plant, and this is why plant-based food is just so important, because we're eating the sunlight.
That's it. Hey, and you know what, Jack? Here's something that'll knock your socks off, okay? Because you were talking the frequency. The color green vibrates at 528 hertz, okay? The sun vibrates at 528 hertz. Guess what your DNA vibrates at? Your DNA vibrates at 528 hertz.
Isn't that beautiful?
And that's not a coincidence, right?
Okay, there's no coincidence here. It's all
my watch.
Exactly, 520. And guess what the frequency of love is? 528 hertz.
Go figure,
oh
huh?
my God.
Wait a second. This is This is
Isn't
too
that-
amazing.
Whoa, whoa. So when I
so
started
simple.
to learn this stuff, I was like,
So,
so let's fix the gut first, because the gut is responsible for 80% of your immune system. And what are people eating?
Yeah.
All kinds of shit. I got 7-year-olds that are crapping out of a bag because little Johnny has to have the cheese pizza with a Happy Meal. Okay. Oh, he's got Crohn's. We got to cut his guts out at 7 and have him crap out of a bag for the rest of his life. Oh, and he's got the liver
because we got to pay rent.
Smoker,
because
drinker.
we got to pay rent, man. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, hello? Do you think it's the gluten that's been sprayed 6 ways from Sunday with the Roundup that is put onto that plant by the same idiots that own Big Pharma? Okay, they own Big Agra. That's what's killing everybody.
Yes.
Their guts are falling apart because next to chemo, Roundup is the most toxic chemical on the planet. It was Agent Orange. They repackaged it. What did they do with Agent Orange? They sprayed it all over the jungle to kill all the plants so they could see where everybody was hiding, right?
See, now it's in everybody's cereal.
Yeah, it's everybody's.
Now it's in everybody's cereal.
Yeah, they put that shit on the plant to dry the plant out so it's dry and brittle, so it's dead. So when they go through with the harvester, up goes the yield. They started this shit back in the 1990s, okay? It's called burning down the crop. And they've tried to keep it from everybody. And Food and Drug Administration, they're all owned by the same people, okay?
Well, is this the paraquat? Is this the paraquat deal? I mean, I know you guys both went through that.
Oh, it's really, no, they do it. They put up to 3 liters an acre on that crop, if not the day before the harvest, okay, to burn that plant down. And this is what they're doing in all the large mechanized operations. And that stuff is right in the germ. And every piece of bread you're eating, every 80 to 90% of the food they control. So if you're eating that crap, what it's doing is killing all your good gut biome. Inside your intestines is bacteria that is healthy bacteria called probiotics. Without those probiotics, you cannot break down your food and absorb it properly into your bloodstream. So what happens without the good bacteria, the cells fall apart because it's a symbiotic relationship. And there's your leaky gut, IBS. You can give it a million names. There's, they got diverticulitis, colitis. Oh, yeah, well, what's causing it? Now, one round of antibiotics, one round of antibiotics will do the same thing. It decimates the entire population, takes 6 months to up to 2 years to grow your own crop of good bacteria. See, sugar and fat goes in right away. I mean,
but you grow it back in a bad way, though, right? If you grew it back correctly, that would be cool, but it's not the right.
No, but your body thinks you're trying to kill it because there's no, sugar and fat's like oil and gas in your car, okay? You can go for a while, but at some point, the wheels are falling off, the shocks are shot, the windshield wipers, who knows where they are, right?
False energy.
Right? You need building blocks to fight these battles. You need bullets. You need stuff for your immune system. And what happens now is this is autoimmune. There's all kinds of crap leaking directly from the gut into the bloodstream. And then what's it do in the bloodstream? It gets hung up in the lungs. I can't even tell you how many cases of asthma I've cleared just by simply cleaning up the gut. It gets into the heart. The liver tries to clean up all of that mess, okay? And so what's it do? Pukes it down through into the gallbladder. It's part of the garbage chute as well as the enzymes. And that goes through the bile duct, through the common bile duct, through the pancreas. Oh, but everybody's got pancreatic cancer. No, it's from all this toxins and shit that everybody's eating, right? That causes the cancer or causes the environment for cancer. And then what's it do? It pukes it back into the small intestine again. So then here's the small to the large intestine. And what's happening is all that garbage is now leaking back in to the whole system of the blood. And all you have is a cycle of poo. And if you don't fix your gut first, all the herbs, all of the good things, all of the food, you're getting this much out of your food instead of this much, okay?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And without those ground troops, you're not going to win the battle. But what's Western medicine want to do? They want to hit it and nuke the shit out of everything with chemo and radiation.
Yeah, or pills.
And then, what's left over? Nothing.
Yeah.
What are you fighting for?
The opposite.
You got nothing worth fighting for. It's like Hiroshima. What was left over? Nothing. Everything was decimated.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's no difference. And I really like the philosophy on what Jack said, how FECO goes in and raises the awareness of where it is, and then the frequency comes in and blows it up, man. And that's all about treating the cause, man. I mean, the root cause. We haven't talked anything about symptoms at all, which is
and that's exactly what a lot of people do not do, is address the root cause. Everybody just always addresses the symptoms. Hey, you know, I always get a headache. Well, what? There's a reason you're getting a headache. There is a reason. And you need to find out what it is. And so like yesterday, I was dealing with a fella. He's got pancreatic cancer. So okay, so off we go, and I start to talk to him. And so for 4 years, him and his wife, they were vegetarian and all of the above. Then I asked him, well, what happened? Well, we just got tired of doing it. So then I asked him, I says, like, he looked in great shape, and I says, okay, I says, what is your job? And he goes, oh. He said, I worked in a printing company, and I says, I just handle chemicals all day. And I goes, oh. So I says, chemicals. I says, guess where they go? To your organs. All right. Every single chemical, and you mentioned it, it's that benzene ring. Everything is made from the petrol industry, and it leaves that benzene ring that cannot be removed.
Wow. Yeah, that's
side effect of the benzene ring, blood cancers.
Wow.
Yep. So here you are, and this is what was very important when we were talking about Rick Simpson using naphtha and that benzene ring can be removed. So here you are, you're trying to treat one cancer, and then lo and behold, you've had success with this cancer, and all of a sudden it's a couple of years down the road, now you got lymphoma.
Yep.
And so that's everything is connected. The whole gambit is connected. Mm-hmm. We're all connected to each other. This is the bottom line. When you walk into a room, you can feel the energy in the room.
Yep.
If it doesn't feel like, I've learned this, I turn around and I walk out. Somebody's not being truthful. Right? And usually that person that isn't being truthful, that's usually the one that turns red in the face all by themselves. Right? Energy doesn't lie. It never has, and it never will.
No,
isn't that right, Don?
Never lies. You never have to defend the truth, Jack.
No.
The truth always defends itself. And again, at the root level, we got two things: deficiencies and toxicities, as you were saying. We got to kind of manage that. And that's, again, FECO's lovely because it also helps. We don't want to forget, though, the secret of the mind. Yes. And that's Jack's secret. It's my secret. It's any of my people that come in. And again, I say they're not just clients, they're family. If you walk through my door, you walk through Jack's door, we're now family. Okay? Because we're in a collaborative. See, we're not doing the healing. The people come to us for advice, for information. Mm-hmm. Jack and I are the same way. Those folks that come in, we're here to only help and collaborate with them. But they have to own their own healing process. Yes. As Jack owned his, as I've owned mine, as all of us have owned, we have to establish that up front and say, look, we're here to help, but you got to get this on straight too. Because, and that's where FECO is lovely, because it helps take the edge off. Some people that have so much trauma, so much stuff. I remember when I was studying Chinese medicine, my first lesson, she goes, the professor goes, I'm going to teach you the Chinese medicine in one lesson. I go, okay, well, I just spent 30 grand for this. So we'll see how it goes. And she goes, okay, I'm going to volunteer somebody. And so she looks through the crowd and she's going to volunteer. So she picks the worst case guy. He's about 350, red in the face. You know, you can see the heart attack coming, right? So she gets him up there. She does all the Chinese testing and she's all done. She goes, okay, so now what's your problem? And the guy goes, whoa. And these are all doctors that I'm traveling with, right? And he goes, well, I got hypertension and high blood pressure. She goes, you fat, stop eating so much. Right? And so everybody in the place was doing the same thing. They were laughing, right? Because
that's true.
The Chinese don't mess around. And so she says to the guy, she says, okay, she says to the rest of the crew, she says, it's not so funny. He's fat, but why he's fat? That's the bigger question. She says, everybody's got some kind of trauma. She called it trauma. So everybody's got either psychological, spiritual, or physical trauma. And we got to address that first before we do anything. And like Jack was saying, what's your trauma? because we got to understand that, right? And because to fully help, well, she said he got a problem with his heart, but it's not really his heart, it's his liver, because he's not happy. He's not happy about. So and so she asked him, what's your trauma? He says, well, I've been through a terrible divorce and it's been horrific. She said, yeah, you try to eat your way through your feelings, right? And the guy goes, yeah. She says, that's not good. See, the real problem is in your head. Your head fixes your heart, and your liver all together. So she says, I can give you herb, I can use acupuncture, I can help you to not feel so hungry and curb your appetite, but you still got to do the work, or I don't get paid, because over there they don't get paid unless you get success. Okay. Wow. Great concept, right? So that was my first lesson. And you know what? She did teach me Chinese medicine in one lesson, because from the rest of that, it was easy, right?
Hey, so this is a great chance to introduce our next guest. You guys are going to all get along great. Ocean Eagle, meet Don.
Hey, Ocean.
All right, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you guys. How are you today? Everybody doing well?
Good.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome.
Been awesome talking, man. We're talking about my two favorite things, FECO and frequency. I'm a big believer in it because it was a big part of my journey when I was doing everything, and it's just and so many success stories over and over. And then Ocean's got this other modality that is really affected me yesterday. It's breathing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just took 18 people through a breathwork journey last night, and it was insane. Yeah, it was really insane to watch the healing and watch them like we were talking about. It's like I'm not the healer, I'm there.
They are.
Yeah, they're
the healer.
Yeah,
they're the medicine.
And what you guys are all doing is giving patients autonomy, and that's one of the big things that we do with our whole health oncology program is that right there, because
we give people their power back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, they
power has been taken away from you.
Well,
I took my power back from everyone, my doctor, my ex-wife, from all the assholes in my life, from everybody. I took it all back. When I walk into the room, I'm at 100% now.
Yeah. Same.
I can't be intimidated. You can't make me feel bad. No. That's over. All that's over.
For me, when I do all my retreats and I take people, the first place I start is ownership, because the stuff that happened in childhood I wasn't responsible for.
Yeah.
But the energy I'm assigning to the story is my fault. So it's about re-empowering myself and not feeling a victim like they took my power. No, I'm still fucking choosing to give it away. So until I do that work and go find the inner cause, which is where we go inward to go out. We go in first before we come out. And we go find that trauma and that abuse, that abandonment and that neglect, that stuff that's stuck on a cellular conglomerate mass level, and where it's hitting you, whether it's your liver or your kidney, your lungs, because that's that energy in there. That's why I do the music so loud and I move energy with my hands on the chakras, up to 7 chakras, to get them to start moving that stuff. And I had this one woman last night, and I put the back of my hand right above the pelvic bone, and I'm moving that sacral energy up the line. And you could see that activity. And she had 3 miscarriages. And so all of that trauma that was in there, we're moving that up and out. And the testimonial I got from her last night was just nuts. She goes, I've been in Reiki. I'm a corporate exec. I'm actually a yoga instructor. Never experienced anything like that. It was incredible. So the playlists that I create are really special. They start in the root chakra and go all the way up and out. Very loud. I've got a concert Bose tower speaker that I use, and it vibrates them on a cellular level frequency, right? I mean, we've all seen the stuff they're doing. They're slowly dripping out the sound technology, where they're levitating rocks with sound, and we know that's how they move stuff in the past. But as we look at ourselves on a cellular level, and we start changing the music that our cells dance to, then we start healing ourselves. And then,
And they do line up, don't they? They're all very cooperative. Like I said, a cell is perfect when it's born.
We love them; they'll love us back. We love our cells; our cells will love us back.
They have their own consciousness, right?
They do.
Every cell has its own unique consciousness, and we have our overall consciousness. That's what Bruce Lipton, I mean, one of my key mentors, I mean, that was his whole foundational base. And again, if all is right, and again, it's that finding that balance. With again, as you said, first thing we do is we breathe. I mean, what a beautiful way to come back to that elemental space. The first thing we do is we start to eat and ingest energy, right? Because that's what we need to continue and make this temple in such an awesome way. We get the most out of it again, and you can have homeostasis. Hey, I've seen people that smoked and drank, but you know what? They were relaxed about it. They weren't all freaked out. I've seen people live into their 90s, right? That were eating bacon and eggs. Why? It was their head.
I had bacon and eggs this morning.
The stress. They didn't have stress, right? I try not to eat too much of any of those. I try to eat again more basic stuff, because I do find there's so much crap and corruption in everything right now, and except for the plants I grow in my own backyard, or 25% of my clients are Amish and Mennonite, so guess where I'm getting my food, right? So you know, so I try to keep it as clean as possible.
My mom turns 100 November 20th.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. Congrats.
The other gentleman
have a big party, Jim.
Yeah, we are having a big party, man. We'll videotape it. It'll be live all over the world for sure, man. It's a big.
Our gray-haired Santa Claus over there mentioned petroleum, and how that's that, and that's where it started, right? We know that the Rockefellers found petroleum in like 1908, and they bought the chemical making plant in Germany, turned it into a pharmacy plant, and we know they took over the AMA and discredited all homeopathic and holistic doctors in the 20s and 30s. We know they did that. So every time people go in the grocery store, they are buying packages that have the chemicals listed on the back of the packages.
That's right.
They ingest it.
It's our own fault.
They ingest it, and that is consent. That is consent for the evil plan. And then they sell the treatment. And then so stay out of the damn grocery store.
It's pretty simple. So if you don't buy it, it will go away.
Yeah.
Autonomy can go both ways.
It will go away. As long as we're paying them for it, they're going to give it to us.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I didn't realize how you guys would all. I figured it, but it's a lot of energy here in this group. For sure.
Mind, body, spirit, emotional body. All these 4 bodies we got to take care of.
Absolutely, it's all one, man.
It's got to be this infinity symbol of energy that runs through us. It's got to be clean. It's got to be clean, or it just goes like this all over the place and gets stuck and trapped, and we have anxiety and fear and stress, and we don't know why. And
I got 2 things I really want to get out of this, and Jamie, I love your shirt. I got 2 things I want to get out of this this event going on right now. Is I want Don to show us his rife stuff. He's got a few rife things, and then I want Ocean to bring us through a little bit of a breathing deal, man. Honestly, I know.
Hey Don, do you have Nicholas? Hey Don, do you have Nicholas Tesla's machine handy?
Oh yeah, I've got Tesla's machine too. Okay, guys,
got a machine right from Nicholas Tesla.
Yeah, it's pretty damn cool.
I've been on both of those.
It was in my garage.
I have friends that have them. I have friends that have both of those devices.
Oh man, it's incredible.
Yeah,
it is a neat, and it's got to go hand in hand with what you're doing, Ocean, right? I mean, it's just
I've had people go on a biocharger for about half an hour and then do a breathwork journey, and it's similar, same thing when we're doing nitric oxide tablets, lozenges from Dr. Brian, and have those that can't build enough nitric oxide, because that's why we're healing in breathwork, because we're building nitric oxide, expanding our blood vessels, and we get proper blood flow, and then all the chemicals we build during the breathwork goes where it needs to go. And that's why all the physical healings are taking place.
Right.
And then the brain tap with Dr. Porter, I've wanted to incorporate that and try his brain tap devices, pumping light codes in the eyes, pumping light codes in the ears with sound. Everything's light and sound and frequency. Everything in the universe is fluid. It's not these corners that they put us in.
No.
Yeah, right. Yeah. There's nothing on my body that's got a right angle in it. Nothing in my body's got a right angle in it, so this is not my natural state in this box I'm in at this Airbnb in Dallas.
Yeah.
So we don't feel natural, and that's why we got to get out in nature more, and we got to spend time outdoors.
And that's why we do weird shit when we're in those environments. You feel anxious, and you feel you do stupid shit. You eat bad foods. You eat, you say stupid stuff.
People say I can't change, and they say it's difficult, and I say, well, think about that word. It's like it's difficult.
Of course you can.
Difficult is to defy your cult, defy cult.
Yeah.
And you're raised in your culture, which is opposite is your cult. So you have to break free from the culture that you were raised in and get rid of your subconscious hardwired belief system that's not serving your highest and best good.
Exactly.
Reboot. Okay, Don, let's see it. I'm interested in seeing that.
So the big key to the Rife machine, it's a wonderful device, but even Dr. Rife was able to isolate and figure out what the pathogen was. Okay, so there's two main pathogens that works really well on is viruses and bacteria. Okay, and it causes those structures to blow up by tuning into what we call a mortal oscillatory rate. There's a rate of frequency and energy that will break that glass, for example, but it doesn't break my leather chair. Right? Everything has its own frequency. Every cell has its own frequency. And like I said, the DNA all vibrates at 528, but the cell wall is what sets it up, or the structure of the virus is what defines that frequency. There's an optimizing frequency and there's a mortal oscillatory rate. So what I do is with this machine, I can see everything. It was developed by a German Western trained doctor who studied at the same school I did over in Beijing by the name of Dr. Voll. So this is a Voll avatar machine, which goes through all your nerve endings. They trace. The Chinese have been doing this for 3,000 some odd years, right? They trace and they could see, they could use the little acupuncture needles to flow energy in or out. That's what it was doing. And they were using herbs. So those were their two modalities, right? To try to help that client. But again, so what happened is it was Dr. Voll who said, hey, is there a way to, if it's like wiring in the house, why can't we run a small charge through here and see if it's yin or yang? Because I mean, the Chinese would figure out if it's yin or yang, and a right twist or left twist on the needle. So he said, yeah, okay, let's try it. And sure enough, it worked great. I could see if there's too much flow or not enough flow. Now I can put any product I want on this plate. I can see whether that product works because it'll scan it. There's a Tesla coil underneath here. It allows me to see it. Now, every disease they tried, everything's now put on the computer, but in the old days it was little vials and you could see, does that energy match or not match? So I can see what pathogens we're working with, what foods work for this client, which ones don't, which herbs work, which ones don't, and again, I'm looking for balance. That's all this is. It's like muscle testing on steroids. So, I mean, again, you can see chickenpox walking in the door, right? You can see shingles walking in the door. We can observe that like the Chinese. But that's kind of hard to know some of these new diseases. And again, whatever they created with the death shot there, with it's a combination of stuff that's so bad. There's 18 different bits and pieces of genetic garbage, viral code in there, and it's creating havoc. Like I can't even tell you. That's another discussion. But anyhow, so I do that, and then once we figure out, well, what's this person dealing with? Yes, we get their gut fixed. We do all the other stuff. Get their head screwed on straight. Oh, sorry, guys.
We just lost Don.
Man, he was on it too.
He was on a roll.
Yeah.
Okay, Ocean. I got to be off. Oh, Don's back. I've got to be off at 11:15. So we've got 20 minutes. I want Ocean to do a little bit of something like we did yesterday, man, because I got a couple people that I told to get on. I said, dude, you ready for some euphoric buzz?
Okay, sorry, guys.
Hey, Don and Jack, do you guys want to go through a little bit of a breathwork deal with us?
Oh, 2 seconds. I'm going to show you the machine. Here's the machine.
Ocean, is it good to be outside or should I go back inside? Do you have a recommendation on that?
No, your breath is
okay, guys.
Where you are. So no, you can be wherever you are. So go ahead. We'll let
here's the machine, guys. This is it. So there's the argon and neon and noble gases. And what it does, it creates a vibration that it goes through walls, it goes through anything. I mean, it's a radio station transmission. So it goes through all the bones. A lot of our diseases hide in the bones and joints and nervous system where there's a low blood supply, you see? And so this machine is now spitting out, and there's a carrier wave. So it carries it through the body. And there's a square wave at 864 hertz. And that's going to affect whatever that pathogen is that's hitting us at that time. So
is this one the Tesla, did you say?
Well, Tesla had the original light that our friend Dr. Wright was using. And that's when he discovered, he was sitting there with the light, trying to light up his samples for his microscope. And that's when he discovered, holy crow, it was blowing up the cancer cells. And again, remember, disease cells lack integrity, so they blow up really easy as well, right? And but the specific frequency, and that's what was doing it. So there's blood plates, there's all kinds of other things that we can add in, or we can put specific energy into certain areas and things, but they basically just have either hold or put these tubes down their shirt and then put their feet on some plates. That's the main thing. I've got all kinds of other things that we've got, all kinds of other energy machines that utilize, and this is more based on magnets, foot baths, things like that. These things are all part of the whole process. Again, depending, and we've got to remember that we've got to make sure the detox pathways are open. You can't start killing stuff and then have it back up on you. So that's what I'm testing. When I test, I'm testing the functionality of all parts of the body, not just, oh, what disease